The knockout at home. It falls to Randy Johnson to cool the Tigers down, to deliver the kind of postseason performance New Yorkers demand but have yet to see. Playoff baseball at its finest in what is now a best-of-3. The Yankees, the Tigers, round 3 is now. This is Comerica Park in downtown Detroit. It is jam-packed for this first postseason game in this new ballpark ever, and the first Tigers postseason game in any ballpark in Detroit since 1987, and they are ready to make some noise tonight on a cool Michigan evening. Temperatures will get into the low 40s. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Aaron Andrews is with us, and welcome to Game 3 of this American League Division Series. Now, Joe, you were talking about that Yankee lineup. It's impressive, maybe the best ever that you've ever seen, and we saw them slug their way to a Game 1 victory, but the young Tigers staff pretty well shut them down yesterday. 3 runs for the Yankees. That constitutes shutting them down with all the stars they have. And now this series is tied at a game apiece.
Well, we were right to talk about the best lineup ever because the Yankees do have that. But by the same token, we didn't give Detroit enough credit. They came back in Game 1 from a 5-0 deficit and didn't win the ball game, but they showed they were not intimidated in Yankee Stadium. Yesterday, it was the Tigers who got all the clutch hits in the key situations. Yankees had a lot of opportunity yesterday but couldn't come across. But yesterday, Granderson, Guillen, and Timms, they were the hitting stars for the Detroit Tigers. And make no mistake about it, the Tigers are not intimidated by the Yankees. They get it done in a different way, but their offense is almost as good as the Yankees.
All right, so we've got a couple of slugging ball clubs out here, and we've got 2 40-something left-handers, 2 guys who've been around forever going head-to-head. Randy Johnson, a 17-game winner, and Kenny Rogers, a 17-game winner. Rogers really was the ace of this young Detroit staff this year. Now, there is a sidebar with Randy Johnson. He's got a herniated disc in his back. Just a few days ago, it was thought he would not be able to pitch at all in this series. However, he's had treatment. He says he's ready to go. The Yankees think he's ready to go, and the big unit will be on the mound trying to get it done.
Well, that's the good news for the Yankees, that the big unit's on the mound. Another good thing for the Yankees could be A-Rod. A-Rod has hit really well against Kenny Rogers. He is 10 for 19 with 5 home runs. So if A-Rod's going to be comfortable against anybody, it's Kenny Rogers. So look for him to have a big night.
All right, and there are a lot of Yankee guys who've had excellent results in their careers against Kenny Rogers. So we're set to go. The Yankees and the Tigers, Game 3. The electricity is already palpable. And Aaron Andrews is here, and when we come back, Aaron will have more on the resurgent Tigers coming home. Kenny Rogers all warmed up, coming into the bullpen, and the first pitch of Game 3 is coming up when we come back.
ESPN's MLB Division Series is presented by Budweiser. Bright, crisp, clean, pure. This is Budweiser. This is beer. And in part by Intel. Multiply your possibilities with Intel Core 2 Duo, the world's best.
Getting ready to bat. We're in Detroit, downtown Detroit, at still relatively new Comerica Park. But tonight it's brand new to postseason play. Aaron Andrews is here with us. Let's go down to Aaron.
Well, John, just talking about the Tigers and their mindset and how that changed after their win yesterday at Yankee Stadium. During his post-game press conference, Detroit manager Jim Leyland made an interesting comment. He said, I hope people now believe that we belong here in the playoffs. And Pudge Rodriguez told me tonight he felt like that was a subliminal message for the Detroit Tigers. He said, you know, the way we ended the regular season, losing 5 straight here at Comerica, losing the AL Central to the Twins, we almost forgot that we belonged in the playoffs. And he said after going to New York, beating that lineup in their stadium, we remembered, yeah, we should be here. So Pudge has said the mindset now changed back to the way it was in the regular season. They also feel the momentum is back with the Tigers now. John?
All right, Aaron. And Kenny Rogers will try and keep the momentum going their way. Rogers, who was a great free agent acquisition and not an extremely high-paid one. He won 17 games, though. Jim Leyland says maybe the best free agent acquisition by any team. 17-8, a 3.84 ERA, and yet he has a history of having no success against the New York Yankees for a long, long time. And in the postseason, he is not won a game in his career in October. So here we go. And there's ball one outside to Johnny Damon.
But I think this is a different Kenny Rogers than the one we've seen in the past, John. He finished the season pitching very well, and he was usually a guy that did not pitch well the second half, but he was the star of this team on this pitching staff the second half of the season. So I think we're looking at a little different guy here than the one we've seen in the past. And remember, for a while there, he was pitching in Texas in the hot weather, and it seemed to work out perfectly for him here in Detroit.
Curveball. Granderson over toward left center. One away. And let's take a look now at the Yankees batting order presented by Prestone. Damon in center. Then Derek Jeter, shortstop. Bobby Abreu, left field. Alex Rodriguez in the number 4 spot at third base. Gary Sheffield removed from the lineup. Jason Giambi, first base. Jorge Posada, the catcher. Hideki Matsui, left field. And then Bernie Williams is hitting 8th, although I was told something different than that, but apparently 8th is the correct spot for Bernie, and then Robinson Cano is hitting 9th at second base. Here's Derek Jeter, and a foul off to the right. Jeter with the 5-hit first game of the series, and then he had 1 hit in game 2. Pudge Rodriguez with the signs out to Kenny Rogers. 1 strike to count, going inside and up and away for a ball.
And I'm a little surprised because Rogers' fastball can run away from Jeter, but they're still pitching him inside. And I'm sure they're pitching him inside because they had some success doing that early in the year. But Jeter made adjustments in the first game and hammered all the pitches that they threw inside.
Right center field. Nobody's there. Miguel Ordonez runs into Granderson as Jeter heads into second with a double.
I have to tell you, I'm just flabbergasted at the fact that they just keep pitching him inside and he keeps getting base hits. I think we had a stat that showed anytime they pitch him inside, he's hitting .396. They come inside, he pushes the ball off him to right center field. And in the first game when he got 5 base hits, all those pitches were in a similar position. He's such a good hitter that I think you have to pitch him in and out. You can't pitch him in any one particular way, but they seem to have decided that they're just going to pitch him in, and I think he's going to have a lot of success if they continue to do that.
So Derek Jeter is now 7 for 10 in this series, and 4 of those 7 hits have been doubles. Now it looked like Pudge got crossed up by Kenny Rogers, and that was fortunate that Pudge reacted and saved a wild pitch. The Yankees lineup with Bernie Williams in there rather than Gary Sheffield, and the position players in their careers. The entire lineup of players in the lineup and on the bench is the one figure. Tonight's lineup with a .391 batting average and 17 home runs against him. Fastball is up and away. 2-0 the count to Bobby Abreu with Alex Rodriguez on deck. Abreu, who drove in 4 runs in game 1. So Rogers in a little bit of a jam right now. Jeter at second. And that fastball called a strike in the outside. Right now it looks like that outside pitch, Joe, sometimes is and sometimes isn't in terms of whether it's going to be called a strike or not. Alfonso Marquez is the home plate umpire. 8th year in the big leagues. 2-1 the count. And that's too low. 3-1. The umpiring alignment with Alfonso Marquez behind the plate. Paul Emmel, Gary Pancino, Larry Vanover around the bases, and in left field Tim McClellan. Right field Las Diaz. A 6-man umpiring crew as always for the postseason. Yankees trying to jump ahead here in the first inning. And that's along the left field line in foul line. There goes Inge and runs out of room. And there is a lot of room in foul territory to go chase a pop-up here, Joe.
And it's not the entire ballpark. It's kind of reminds you of the parks on the West Coast, like Dodger Stadium used to be in Oakland, Alameda Coliseum when it was called that. A lot of foul territory.
3-2 the count to Bobby Abreu. Trying to get a big hit to knock in a run. The big hit that was missing for much of yesterday's game. The only hit they had yesterday with a runner in scoring position was Johnny Damon's 3-run homer.
Well, he had big hits in the first game. He drove in 4 runs in the first game of the series.
3-2. Granderson on the run. He gets there. That ball hit hard by Abreu and into some bad luck. 2 down.
Well, we saw a nice defensive play by Granderson there, getting a good jump on that ball. But the guy that really controls the game for Detroit and keeps the other team from stealing bases is Ivan Rodriguez. And you see throughout 51%. And, of course, that led the major leagues. He and Kenny Rogers have won Gold Gloves. 11 for Ivan and 4 for Kenny.
If you look back to the All-Star break back in July, the game this year was in Pittsburgh, and the American League starting pitcher was Kenny Rogers against the National League, and his catcher was Pudge Rodriguez as Alex Rodriguez takes a strike. So Alex is up in the 4th spot. Gary Sheffield is out of the lineup, although he was in the lineup when he arrived at the ballpark. There is Guillen. And the inning is over. 1 hit. 1 left. No runs. Now the Tigers coming up against the big unit. Randy Johnson to take the hill in Detroit. Last year, they had 12 consecutive losing seasons. But here they are in October. The Tiger batting order presented by Presto. Placido Polanco. Second base. They've got a different lineup with the big unit on the mound. Craig Monroe in left field. Marcus Timms is the designated hitter, a hero yesterday. Maglio Ordonez, the cleanup hitter in right field. Carlos Guillen, he had a big day yesterday with a home run that tied the game at short. Pudge Rodriguez looking for his first hit in this series. The catcher, Sean Casey, mighty Casey at first base. Brandon Inge at third, hitting 8th, and Curtis Granderson, another one of the heroes yesterday, drove in 2 huge runs, including the winning run. He's in center, batting 9th. And there is Randy Johnson. He's got the herniated disc in his back. He had an epidural. He has gotten a lot of treatment, and he came here Wednesday afternoon. He did not wait to go with the team. They wanted him to come here early on. 17-11 this year, despite a high ERA. 7-8 lifetime in the postseason, however.
Well, he was 0-5 in the divisional series in the National League, and he's 2-2 in the divisional series in the American League. So he's 2-7 lifetime in the divisional series.
Over the middle, base hit. Placido Polanco gets the Tigers going.
Now you see the target low and away. It's a sinker. It's not that bad a pitch. Actually, it started to sink down. It was toward the outside, but you know, that chopper could go anywhere. If you hit a ground ball, it just looks like a routine bound ball. But you hit it back through the middle, it's a base hit.
Polanco back to the bag at first. Tigers are not a big base stealing club. Polanco had only 1 steal, so he is not the quintessential leadoff man. They basically just want to get the right-handed hitters stacked up there at the top of the order, since lefties almost always do poorly against Randy Johnson.
I think it's a good idea, John. Put as many right-handers up to the top as you can.
Remember Larry Walker, as great a hitter as he was. Randy Johnson was pitching. Larry had a day off. And Rafael Palmeiro, same thing, although he had a lot of history of bad days and nights against the big unit and then started ducking him.
Well, the unit slings the ball, and that makes it more difficult for a left-hander. But his slider, when he starts it off the plate outside and breaks it back, that's very difficult for a right-hander as well. I mean, he has the right stuff to control both sides, left-handers and right-handers.
That fastball to Monroe, 97 miles an hour. 1-2. Randy Johnson this year, like just about every other year of his career, real tough on lefties. They hit 194 against him, 1 home run, but he allowed 27 home runs to right-handed hitters. You see his postseason breakdown there. Very poor in division series play. And that slider down and in, a slider at 90 miles an hour. Well, Joe, it looked like he's got the stuff tonight. He's throwing hard and a great hard slider.
Well, whenever he has the hard slider, I mean, he's always going to be very effective. But the one thing you have to look at is how long can he go, and you have to figure if you're the Yankees, you try to get 5 innings out of him or 6 and hope you have the lead.
And that slider pulled foul. 2-2 the count to Craig Monroe. Monroe had 28 home runs in the regular year. Monroe, who had a double and a run scored yesterday, the first run of the game against Mike Messina. He also did a good job in left field yesterday in that sun field with the wind blowing. Don Mattingly on the right talking to manager Joe Torre in the Yankees dugout.
Well, they're watching Randy very closely, as you can see.
Fastball at 98. Well, the big unit, obviously, Joe, he was pumped up.
Well, you're always a little more amped up for the postseason. I mean, I think that goes without saying. These guys, they turn the intensity level up another notch.
There goes Polanco. Deep left center, but that's the wrong place to hit it in this yard. It's 430 feet to that notch where the left field wall meets the center field wall behind Damon out there. That's the deepest part of the ballpark. So there is one away. And here comes Marcus Thames. And this was his very first major league at bat. The first pitch he ever saw as a Yankee was against Randy Johnson, and it was a home run. Not just his first at bat, but the first pitch of his first at bat against the big unit, no less. That was in an interleague game in 2002. So here's Marcus Thames against the big unit again. And he had a huge day yesterday. This former Yankee had 2 singles and a double. He knocked in a run and he scored 2 others. He was in the middle of just about everything the Tigers did yesterday. And a foul out of play off to the right. He has 2 hits in his career against Randy in 9 at-bats. And both of those hits home runs. 0-2 the count to Marcus Thames with Maglio Ordonez on deck. Polanco the runner at first. Thames hit 26 home runs this year, a career best, and he did it in only 348 at-bats. And that is too high. 1-2. Sometimes we'll see Randy Johnson, John, and for years, coming out throwing 91, 92, 93 mile an hour fastballs, and then when he needs it, 2-strike count or whatever, then 98. But he's firing hard from the beginning tonight, and there's that slider, devastating. Marcus Thames, strike 3, 2 down. Now let's go down to Aaron Andrews.
Well, John, just to revisit that whole Marcus Thames incident back in 2002. Marcus said when during that at bat, he said, I couldn't even look at Randy Johnson in the eye. I didn't want to look at him at all. Got the home run and then kind of chuckled around the bases. But he said, this time when I face Randy Johnson, I may just look at him a little bit. It'll take me back to 2002.
Well, that's the way it went in 2002, but not tonight, not in the postseason. So, Joe, I'm thinking for Marcus, the best way to go with Randy, don't look him in the eye.
Well, this is a little different Randy maybe than what he faced that night as well, because Randy's throwing the ball exceptionally well.
2 down. Polanco still at first. Maglio Ordonez. And that's a little bit low. And so Randy has his own ghosts of October. These division series have been a nightmare for him for several years, including his first year with the Yankees last year, a game that we did on ESPN. Yankees for the force out. Cano took the throw. Polanco is out. Nicely done by Derek Jeter. One hit, one left. On to the second. No score. Yankees and the Tigers from Comerica Park. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Aaron Andrews. And now the Yankees lead it off with Jason Giambi. Giambi, who's got the bad wrist and likely will have to have some offseason surgery to repair the left wrist, which has been giving him a lot of trouble. He'll be followed by Jorge Posada and then Kazmatsui, or rather Hideki Matsui. I got the wrong Matsui there, Joe. Well, Hideki Matsui.
They were in New York at the same time. That's true.
But you could not have confused the two Matsuis if you watched them play. Kazmatsui at infield, and now with the Colorado Rockies. Hideki Matsui, he's Godzilla. That's a called strike to Jason Giambi. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And a lot of the guys have good numbers that are in the lineup against Kenny Rogers, but I tell you what, without Gary Sheffield in this lineup, it is a different lineup. He's the intimidator. A little too quick on that one.
There is Ordonez, and 1 away. Second baseman Polanco went way out on that one, but Ordonez was able to handle it, so Giambi is gone. Coming up, the great former voice of the Tigers and in the Hall of Fame as a recipient of the Ford C. Frick Award, the legendary Ernie Harwell. He's going to join us here in the booth, Joe.
Looking forward to it. I had a chance to talk to him down on the field before the ball game. He's still special.
Ernie will be coming along in the 3rd and 4th innings here tonight. And for Tiger fans who've been rooting for the Tigers for a long time, it just wouldn't be a postseason without hearing Ernie's voice. So we'll bring in Ernie in the 3rd and 4th innings. There's Ernie right now, and he's on the radio over in the Tigers radio booth. Ernie Harwell, the legendary one. He was there. I have a tape at home, Joe, of Ernie's radio broadcast of the first game of the '63 World Series at Yankee Stadium, when Whitey Ford, one of the great World Series pitchers of all time, faced a young guy named Sandy Koufax. And Koufax pitched one of the greatest games ever seen in a World Series that day. 0-2 the count to Jorge Posada. Switch hitter, batting right-handed. That's down the left field line, base hit. Monroe able to cut it off, and he'll hold Posada to a single. And that is the second hit for the Yankees. And it brings up Hideki Matsui. Matsui had 3 hits yesterday, and he's 3 for 8 in the series. There's the 41-year-old Kenny Rogers, who's won 207 games in his career, up against the 43-year-old Randy Johnson, who's won 280 games in his career. It's the first matchup of pitchers both 40 or older starting in any postseason game. First time it's ever happened. There's Matsui. There's Kenny Rogers. Enjoy a much different pitcher than Randy Johnson, that's for sure.
Definitely.
That fastball a little bit high, apparently. 1 ball and no strikes. I mean, Kenny Rogers is kind of the thinking man's pitcher, right? I mean, he can't just blow you away.
Well, he moves the ball in, out, up and down, changes speeds. Anytime you get over 200 wins, you've been a good pitcher for a long period of time.
1 ball and no strikes. Runner at first. He's off the outside. 2-0. Matsui, and he's just dangerous whether he's facing left-handers or right-handers. Although this year, Matsui, who it's hard to gauge by this year since he missed so much time after breaking his wrist. He only had 53 at-bats against lefties and hit only 226 against them. And he blew a fastball right by him. Big unit like. There's Bernie Williams on deck. Yankees made a lineup change today. Bernie has had success against Kenny Rogers. And Gary Sheffield, there's Gary, had not had a whole lot of success, although I never got a chance to talk to Joe Torre. When we talked to Torre before the game, Sheffield was still in there. And the curveball misses. 3-1.
I think Joe looked at Bernie Williams' statistics and some of the other hitters, and Gary was basically looked like the odd man out, because Gary's 3 for 17 against Kenny Rogers, which tells you he hadn't had a lot of success. But again, I think Gary's still an intimidating force, especially against a left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
But some of these guys have great numbers, and I think that's why Joe wanted them in there.
3-2 to Matsui. Another swing and another miss for Matsui. Yeah, Bernie, and I think Joe's got some fond memories of some great Bernie Williams moments over the years in these October games. And the Yankees have an abundance of riches when it comes to offense. To the count. Posada the runner at first. He's not running. Strike 3.
Well, a little different. That's what you see from Kenny Rogers. He will throw the 3-2 breaking ball. Threw him a lot of fastballs and even threw one by him, 3-1. But he comes back with a 3-2 breaking ball. Beautiful pitch. Look at, I mean, that had a big break on it. That's a big curveball. But that's a big one, and it gets the outside corner knee high.
So he came back to get him. He was behind him, 3-1. He got the swing and a miss, and then got him looking. Here's Bernie Williams. Broken back right to Inge. Both bat and ball were headed to Inge. Carlos Guillen, and then Pudge Rodriguez coming up for Detroit. No score. Big division series, the Yankees and the Tigers. No score, last of the second. Randy Johnson back on the hill, and here is Carlos Guillen, a big bat in yesterday's game. He tied the game with a 6th inning home run against Mike Messina. Now batting right-handed. Fastball too low from Randy Johnson. Guillen hit .320 in the regular season. It is 3 for 6 in this division series. He also had a double yesterday in addition to his home run. And too low. 2-0. I started to mention in the first inning, Joe, we were talking about the problems that Randy has had winning in these division series games. Only 2-7 lifetime. That includes Game 3 last year at Yankee Stadium against the Angels, a game which we worked on ESPN. That's into right center field. Over to cut it off. And holding Bernie Williams to a single, Bobby Abreu. And time for an update now from SportsCenter and Carl Ravitch.
Hi, John. Thank you. Few could have predicted the outcome in the A's-Twins series. Milton Bradley went deep. Danny Herring pitched well, and Oakland has moved on to the League Championship Series. They'll play the winner of the series that we're watching right now.
Ken Macha's ball club.
Well, congratulations to Ken Macha and the Oakland A's for being the first to qualify for the League Championship Series.
Here is Ivan Rodriguez. And neither of the Rodriguezes is doing well so far in this postseason. And it's Alex Rodriguez, 1 hit in 9 at-bats, but Ivan Rodriguez for the Tigers, he'd take a hit right now. He has gone hitless.
And that's very surprising for Ivan, because he stays on top of the ball most of the time, which means one of them usually sneaks through the infield, if not a line drive.
Pudge Rodriguez has had 73 lifetime at-bats against Randy Johnson and a .247 average against him. 1 home run in all those at-bats. And that slider, he got that slider up a little bit, and Pudge fouls it into the crowd off to the right. And it's 1-2.
Well, just watching Randy, he seems to be throwing free and easy, not exactly where he wants to throw that pitch. But He throws so hard. If you're a hard thrower, you got a lot of movement on your pitch up there. You can get away with it sometimes.
The ball and 2 strikes. Fastball. He tried to put him away, but it was too high. And Rodriguez laid off. 2-2. Guillen, the runner at first. Now, Guillen is one of the few Tigers who will now and again steal a base. He had 20 steals this year. That ball is foul on the third base side. 2-2 the count to Pudge Rodriguez. Sean Casey, a left-handed hitter, is on deck.
Carlos Guillen is one of the truly underrated players in the game. I mean, he's a good hitter. He runs well. He's just an excellent player. And being a switcher, that gives him a great advantage because he stays back on the ball in the batter's box. That's what I like most. Very rarely will you see him get out in front on his front foot. He just stays back and makes a good swing.
And he and Randy Johnson have crossed paths before. When Randy Johnson was traded by the Mariners to Houston, Carlos Guillen is one of the guys that went to Seattle in that deal. Abreu can't get it. Never stopping Guillen. He's at third. First and third, nobody out.
And that's what I was talking about being a smart player. He looked back to see where Abreu was playing before the pitch was thrown. He knew that Abreu could not get in to catch it, so he went around to third. Most players would have had to wait for that ball to drop, and they would end up at second base. It's a fastball tailing away, hits it off the end of the bat. Now watch Guillen. He knows right away that's a base hit because he knows how deep Abreu was playing, and he's able to get around the third base easily. If he had to wait for it to drop, he would have only been able to get to second base. Watch, see, right away he knows it's a base hit. And he doesn't slow down, and he gets to third base easy. That's a fine base running play there.
And then he kept it going. He gave Abreu an anxious moment as he came around third. And back to the bag at first is Pudge Rodriguez. The batter, Sean Casey. First left-handed hitter to come up against Randy Johnson tonight. Now, Pudge Rodriguez, in his younger days, Joe, used to steal a lot of bases. He did have 8 steals this year. But in Texas, when he was, several years ago, he'd go out and steal 20 bases or more in a season quite often. Stride to Sean Casey.
Now, the key here for Sean is, can he handle the fastball in or the slider away?
Casey is 3 for 12 lifetime against Randy Johnson. 3 hits, 12 at-bats.
Which is very good, actually, for a lefty.
And most lefties are 1 for 28, something like that. That's a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Even a double play ball would get the first run of the game home here.
You have to put the ball in play because you're the key here. Because if you do not get the runner home from third and the next guy hits a ground ball, you're out of the inning. So you can do anything to get the run home as long as you put the ball in play other than to pop up in the infield.
Then they've got a rousing Let's Go Tigers cheer going up. That's through. Base hit. Guillen scores. Pudge to third. The throw. Safe. He overslid the bag but got back. And Alex Rodriguez argues the call with Larry Vanover.
Well, the throw definitely beat him. Excellent throw from right field by Bobby Abreu. Obviously, A-Rod must have missed him. Ground ball in the hole. Good attempt there by Cano. He was trying to make the play. And look at this throw by Bobby Abreu.
Abreu with a very strong arm.
Just under the glove of Cano. And a very accurate and strong throw from right field by Abreu.
A run is in. And a big swing and a miss on a slider by Brandon Inge. What about that tag at third, Joe?
Well, let's take a look because the throw clearly beats him. It looked like he tagged him on the shoulder.
Oh, got him right there.
He didn't miss it.
A ball and a strike now to Inge.
Abreu keeps the ball down so it could be cut off all the way.
I mean, it does look like he got him before he touched that bag.
Well, it definitely looks like he was out. He got him on the left shoulder. I know his left arm was reaching for the bag.
You know, it's funny because oftentimes if the throw beats the runner
and you execute
and there is a
properly,
tag made, you're out.
Well, if you execute properly, if you don't make a real wild swipe tag or something like that. Alex made the proper tag. He hit him on the shoulder.
1-2. A pop-up foul back out of play. Brandon Inge, one of the Tigers with lots of power, who hits late in the order. 27 home runs this year. Alex Rodriguez still going at Larry Vanover at third base, and I think with good reason.
Yeah, I think he had a good case as well.
I mean, and I agree with you, though, with your first comment. Vanover must have felt that A-Rod missed the tag entirely. Otherwise, how could he have made that call? That fastball misses down and in. 2-2 to Inge. Nobody out in the inning yet. Guillen, Rodriguez, and Casey have all hit singles. 1-0. Detroit. Joe Torre in the Yankee dugout. The slider put him away.
I was going to say these runs that are scored, this run that is scored is not because Randy's not throwing well, because he is throwing well.
Jeter in to talk to the big unit.
Well, he got 2 strikes on the Inge, and he was able to put him away with a slider. Watch how big this slider breaks. Goes all the way across the plate. Now that's a better angle. Look, it goes all the way across the plate. When he releases, it's on the second base side of the mound, and when it gets to the plate, it's inside third base. Big breaking slider.
Now Granderson, another lefty. Fastball off the outside. Now a double play would end the inning. The Yankee middle infielders playing for the double play.
Although Granderson is awfully hard to double up.
Granderson grounded into only 4 double plays all year. He helped him a little bit on that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Granderson, though, I mean, he's a free swinger. That's his game. Yesterday, he had 2 of the biggest at-bats of the game. A sacrifice fly in the 5th inning with a runner at third and 1 out. And a triple in the 7th inning that drove in the winning run with a runner at third and 1 out. Up the middle, Cano. Jeter 1 to first. Please.
You can't make it any better than that, but as I said, Granderson runs so well, it's difficult to double him up. Nice play there at second base by Cano, and a nice play by Jeter. Jeter really hurried to get rid of it, but they just couldn't get Granderson at first base.
Pudge Rodriguez scores 2-0.
Watch, this is a great play by Cano. Now watch, he gives him the glove right there, flips it to him. Wow. Watch how quickly Jeter gets rid of it. And you just can't do it any better than that. So you can't make it any better than that. It's just the speed of Granderson kept them from doubling him up.
I mean, what a play by Cano. Never made the exchange.
Well, he knew he didn't have time. He made the play the only way he would have a chance to double Granderson up.
Placido Polanco, the leadoff man, is up now. Singled his first time. 2 runs in for the Tigers. Granderson gets an RBI on what was almost a double play ball, but he was too quick.
Well, the only way you ever have a chance really to double up with a guy like Granderson is 2 short throws, meaning one of them being a short throw, and that means the ball close to second base. Just an excellent play by both Jeter and Cano. You can't make it any better than Jeter did, and you can't make the play any better than Cano did. The speed of Granderson saved him there.
1 ball, no strikes. Pulled foul by Polanco. By the way, that second run, as they were trying to get that double play, scored by Pudge Rodriguez from third base. And that's a sore subject for Alex Rodriguez and the Yankees, because he shouldn't have been at third base. He was out.
Well, Alex Rodriguez definitely thought he got him. It appeared to me that he tagged him on the shoulder before he touched the bag as well. And as we noted, Alex was still talking to the umpire all the way through that at the next at bat.
I thought he got him on the chest and the shoulder.
He definitely tagged him. So he must have felt like he got his hand in there quicker than we thought. But
the Tigers take advantage of a call that goes their way, and they turn it into an extra run. 1-2 to Polanco.
But you have to give the Tigers credit. They're forcing the issue. And Punch right there, he hits him. And there you see his hand grab the bag, but obviously close. But Alex is, he just was, I think he was definitely surprised. Because the throw definitely beat him to the bag. It was an excellent play by Bobby Abreu as well.
Then they got Granderson picked off. Giambi double clutches, high throw, three for second.
One of the problems you have, is the throw is a little high over to first base, but Giambi has to make sure he steps in to get the ball. Well, he does step in. He does everything properly. He just doesn't make a good throw. He looked like he couldn't get it out of his glove at first. And it's, a lot of times a speedy runner, if he's on first base and the left-hander tries to pick him up, you just keep going. And a lot of times you're going to make it.
Up the middle. Base hit. Here comes Granderson. Run number 3.
Well, again, the Tigers are forcing the issue. They're getting runners from first to third. They're stealing bases. And that was a stolen base for Granderson. Picking them up. They got a lot of clutch hits yesterday, and they continue right on through tonight. This ball's grounded right back up the middle. Slider. Randy can't get his glove down in time.
Here's Monroe. Slider fouled off his foot. That's pretty good hitting by Polanco on that slider, wasn't it?
Well, the great thing about it, he didn't try to pull it. He tried to go right back through the middle with it. A lot of times when that slider comes in, right-handers try to pull it to get it out of their kitchen, so to speak, and that's when they miss it or top it. He just went right back through the middle with it. He did not try to pull it.
So 3 runs are in, and things conspiring against the Yankees here. That one is hit well, but there is Matsui, and the inning is over. The bad call by the umpire, and then the failure to execute on the pickoff. The Tigers have a 3-0 lead heading to the 3rd. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be joined by Ernie Harwell. John Miller, Joe Morgan, Aaron Andrews back at Comerica Park, and they had this new ballpark shaking, literally shaking, when that 3rd run scored in the 2nd inning against Randy Johnson. Now we head to the 3rd. The Yankees are down 3-0 as they come up against Kenny Rogers, and we are very honored to be joined by the Hall of Fame voice, the winner of the Ford C. Frick Award many years ago, and the longtime favorite of Tiger fans in Detroit and all across Michigan and the world, Ernie Harwell. Ernie, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thank you, John, and hi, Joe. Good to be with you.
My pleasure.
All right, so when big things have happened for the Tigers, going all the way back to, what, 1960?
Mm-hmm.
People associate Ernie Harwell with that, so it is only fitting that Ernie is here with us. The Tigers in their first postseason in 19 years, and Ernie is here to talk about it.
Well, it's great, and the Tigers lead it now 3-0 with all those singles they picked up in the first couple of innings.
Robinson Cano is the hitter. And Ernie, I'm going to ask you at some point to do some play-by-play.
All right, I'll be ready.
Because that's what you do, that thing you do so very well. I'm going to ask you to do. You know, Joe Morgan, he's a Hall of Famer.
He's not only a Hall of Famer, he's the chairman of the board, the vice chairman. I tell you, he's a big guy.
Now, Robinson Cano takes the ball outside. Well, the last time the Tigers were in the postseason, 1987, Sparky Anderson was the manager. And that was a great era, Sparky's era.
It was.
They had some excellent teams. They won the whole thing in 1984. What about Jim Leland?
Well, Jim Leland's done a great job here. He's been a fantastic guy and, you know, just straightforward and a straight baseball guy, and they really love it.
That's a base hit for Robinson Cano, and that is his first hit of this series. He had been 0 for 8. And we go to the top of the order for Johnny Damon. 3-0. The Tigers are ahead. Ernie Harwell is with us. And Ernie, can't quite make out that year. Began broadcasting with the Tigers in 1960, and you've been all over the place before then.
Oh, yeah.
You broadcast the very first postseason baseball game that was not a World Series.
Right.
1969, they went to the divisional format, and they had the league championship series. Baltimore, Minnesota. Ernie was there. Here's Johnny Damon. He takes a called strike. And you were long before that in Atlanta, and the Brooklyn Dodgers wanted to hire you. They had a need for a broadcaster, and to get you, they had to trade a catcher to the Atlanta minor league team to get you to go broadcast the Dodger games in Brooklyn.
That's right, when I replaced Red Barber in 1948.
And that's a ball outside.
So I got to the big leagues, traded for a minor league catcher.
Yeah, but did the catcher ever make it? Did the catcher ever make it?
No, not.
But you did.
He had played a little bit in the majors before then, but he went to war and then didn't get it when he came back. Yeah.
So Ernie is the best thing ever happened to that catcher there. Cliff Dapper, right?
Right.
So his name is remembered all these many years later for that. And Ernie, you were with the Dodgers, but you weren't there very long.
I was there that year, 48, and all of 49 when they won the pennant. And it was great to work for the Dodgers and be there with Jackie Robinson and Cappy and Duke and all those guys.
So you were with the Dodgers when they were changing the game.
No, when they were the Dodgers.
A broken bat. Here's Ordonez in shallow right field, and Johnny Damon is now 0 for 2 in the game. Cano goes back to first. 1 out, and here is Derek Jeter. I'm John Butler, Ernie Harwell, and Joe Morgan. And Ernie, in 1951, you were still in New York, but with the Giants.
Right.
And you were there when Bobby Thompson hit what is still probably the most famous home run in Major League history. Bobby Thompson's shot heard round the world.
Correct. I was on NBC TV. You all heard the great Russ Hodges. We don't have any record of my call on TV.
Oh.
Only Mrs. Harwell know, and I know I was on that afternoon. But it was a great thrill, and I thought Russ made a terrific call of that.
Well, that's the legendary call that I grew up listening to in San Francisco Bay Area.
The Giants win the pennant.
Yeah.
The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. They're going crazy. Here's a ball outside to Derek Jeter. I mean, was your call?
You guys are from Oakland, aren't you?
We are.
In the Oakland area.
We grew up with Russ
both
Hodges.
grew up there.
And we grew up. Russ Hodges and Lon Simmons taught us the game.
Two great announcers, yeah.
Now, was your call similar to Russ's call?
No, mine was very TV-oriented. I said it's gone, and then they kept my mouth shut for a while.
Let the pitchers tell the story, right?
And back to the bag at first is Cano.
But you know the Polo Grounds, they had very short fences there. And the Pafco backed up against the fence, and that ball that Bobby hit got into the very first row at the Polo Grounds.
Well, it was what, 279 or 257?
Like yeah, 278, I think.
So it wouldn't have been a home run anywhere else.
No, and they had an overhang too.
Wow, that's a foul off the right field line by Jeter. Jeter doubled his first time. 1 ball, 1 strike. But what I want to get to here, he hit that home run, Bobby Thompson, against Ralph Branca. And now it's come out years later that the Giants that summer were stealing signs with a high-powered lens in the center field clubhouse and relaying those signs to somebody in the bullpen who could tell the batter what was coming. Did you know about that?
No, I did not at that time. I'd heard rumors about it. And Joe, you know, you always hear that.
I find it very difficult.
Yeah, I read the book. It was a great book. The guy made a great case for it.
So you read the book?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. A new book just out.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good. But I think you always hear those rumors, and I don't think they ever got those guys to admit that there were signs being stolen.
1 ball, 1 strike to Derek Jeter. But so you weren't privy to it at that time?
No, sir.
Were people talking about it? Were there accusations made?
No, not at that time. Came up much later.
All right. So the other thing about Ernie, Joe, because we all know Ernie, a great voice of the game, one of the great gentlemen of the game. Kind, polite, I mean, a Southern gentleman.
Right.
And yet, Ernie Harwell once got into a battle with Leo DeRocher on a train when Leo was the manager of the Giants, and he beat Leo up.
I murdered him.
So you didn't know that about Ernie?
No, I didn't. I can't imagine Ernie doing that.
He took him down, Joe.
I got him.
And Jeter with another foul down the right field line. Actually, I mean, DeRocher was kind of a feisty sort of a guy, right?
Yeah, he had a feisty personality. And I was seated in the compartment there on the Pullman with Ross Hodges, and he sort of flapped the newspaper in my face, and I grabbed him, and we wrestled around until the inertia set in, you know. Nothing really happened, but it was a good story.
Well, I'm going with you. You beat the heck out.
Yeah, I beat the heck out. Yeah. But I played golf with Leo, went to parties with him, and he was quite a personality.
Ernie Harwell here with us. Derek Jeter at the plate. Yankees down 3-0. Bobby Abreu on deck. Kenny Rogers on the mound for Detroit. And Jeter fouls another one off the right field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now, Ernie, you came to Detroit in 1960, and I know one of the reasons you came because you were in Baltimore. You were the original voice of the Baltimore Orioles when they came to the American League in 1954. But another Hall of Famer, George Kell, was in Detroit doing some broadcasting, and he thought it might be a good idea if you came to Detroit as well.
Yeah, he called me and asked me, and I had seen George had played at Baltimore, and he was hurt one time, and I asked him up in the booth. He found out about ice cream and cake and stuff in the press box, you know. He sort of liked it, so he got a job out here, and then when the opening came, he called and said, would you like to come? I said, I'd love to.
So how'd that turn out for you?
Well, I had a good time here. Folks are nice to me.
You're this new ballpark, you get a chance. You tell me there was a lot of history, a lot of intimacy and all that stuff at Tiger Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
How does this new ballpark?
Well, I think we missed the intimacy that you mentioned, Joe. And this ballpark spreads out a little bit more. It's not as vertical as a Tiger Stadium, where, you know, we were so close, we could see him sweat and hear him cuss at Tiger Stadium.
Right.
And you had that overhang in right field, and the hitters really loved. Ted Williams told me, he said, when the plane hits the tarmac, my eyes light up. I know I'm going to Tiger Stadium. It was his favorite ballpark to hit in.
Wow. Well, I mean, it had the home run porch in right field.
Yeah.
It was pretty friendly out there in right field to a left-handed hitter like Ted Williams.
And upper deck bleachers, that was unique.
And a foul ball. I like Tiger Stadium because of that. The upper deck, the roof above the upper deck, it gave dimension to a home run. So, Joe, if you really hit one, you would really know that you hit it because you'd hit it on the roof or hit it off the facing of the roof. This is the new ballpark. So, but do you like the new ballpark, Ernie?
I like the new ballpark. I think people are getting used to it, too, and they like it. It's so well constructed, and it's such a great facility, and they've got so many other things that you can enjoy if you don't like baseball. You can come out here and ride the Ferris wheel, the merry-go-round, and see the statues and all that kind of stuff.
I haven't seen anybody doing that tonight.
No, I don't think so.
This is a double play ball. There's one. Back to first. 2. A double play. The inning is over. A marathon at bat by Jeter, but Kenny Rogers does not yield. 3-0 Detroit. But a great night for Tiger fans so far. A great season for Tiger fans. The Tigers out in front of the Yankees 3-0. The 27-pitch third inning, or rather second inning for Randy Johnson, in which he gave up 3 runs, and that has put the Tigers ahead. Marcus Timms, the hitter, as Randy Johnson throws him a changeup, swung on and missed for strike 1. We've got the legendary voice of the Tigers, Ernie Harwell, with us. And Joe, I think it's only fitting for the Tiger fans to once again hear their great voice, Ernie Harwell. And Ernie, I'm going to send it to you right in the middle of the play here.
All right, fly ball off the bat of Timms, and it's gathered in by Abreu in right field for the Yanks. So that's 1 out and nobody on in the Tiger third. The Tigers came in with 3 runs in the second inning.
I see you're still keeping score just like
I'm keeping score just like I might know what I'm doing.
Now, this is ESPN, Ernie.
Oh.
I mean, the worldwide leader in sports. I mean, you don't have to keep your own scorebook. We have people that can do that for you if you like.
I tell you. I'm not used to such luxury.
That's the other thing. If you don't have anything to say after a pitch, just say, Joe.
And he comes in?
Yeah, it's all set.
No, I'm gonna sit here and enjoy it myself. Go ahead.
Well, there's Ordonez at the bat. He hit into a force to win the opening inning. Johnson on the mound. All the Tiger hits have been the singles, and then 5 of them. And they lead here 3-0. Strike. He got one on the inside corner. Randy Johnson. He could throw hard at one time, couldn't he, Joe?
Yeah, I think he's throwing well tonight, Ernie. I don't think he's hitting the spots as well as he would like, but I think he's got good stuff. But he could really overpower you earlier in his career.
There's a bounding ball to third. Rodriguez fires over to first. And there are 2 down. Now, you were with J.R. Richards.
Oh, yeah.
He could do it, couldn't he?
Hey, I tell you what, Ernie, I've always told people this. If J.R. would have stayed healthy, he could have been possibly one of the greatest pitchers. He was one of the greatest pitchers in his time. But he could have been maybe the greatest pitcher ever. He had that kind of stuff. You know, he was unbelievable.
Now, how about the other fast guys you saw?
Oh, I saw a lot of them. Nolan Ryan was on the, I played with him as a teammate. Obviously, I got a chance to face Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, and Tom Seaver, all those guys. There were a lot of guys who threw hard. But Randy Johnson probably would have been the toughest.
Now, how about Steve Dalkowski, the famed,
I saw him in the minor leagues. Yeah, I saw him in the minor leagues.
He walked 21 in one game.
Wow.
He was in the Baltimore system, and I was in Baltimore. There's a strike.
That's where I saw him in the minor leagues.
And he broke an umpire's mask. He threw so hard.
I was just glad that I did it in the daytime.
Oh, there he is, Mr. October.
Yeah.
He's in his correct month, isn't he? Cut and miss. 1-2 now. Tigers in the lead, 3-0. They're batting in the third.
Were you there when Reggie hit that incredible home run in the 71 All-Star
I sure
game?
was, and it just, I think it's still going. One of those line drives that just kept climbing. Fly ball to right. Who's going to get it? Abreu. And that retires the side to 1-2-3.
All right. Now, Ernie, not much happened in that inning, so I'm asking you to stay a little bit longer. All right. Ernie Harwell here with us. The Tigers lead the Yankees 3-0. Abreu, A-Rod, and Giambi coming up. 1968, a great year here in Detroit. The Tigers won it all, coming from 3-1 against the favored Cardinals, and Bill Freehan made the catch there. Mickey Lolich got the win, Game 7, and what a time that was.
It was a great time, and that the 7th game was a great duel between Mickey Lolich and the great Bob Gibson. And I tell you, Bob Gibson's about the best pitcher I ever saw in the clutch, I think.
And there's a guy who was there.
Al Kaline had a great series. He'd been hurt most of the year, but he came back, hit about 370, got a key hit in the 5th game of the series when the Tigers were down. Started a rally, and then the Tigers went on to win it. There's a nice little bunt, but it's rolling foul. Abreu has a strike on him.
That was interesting you made the comment about Gibson, because I've always felt that way as well about how great he was in the clutch. But you've seen a lot more pitches than I've seen, of course.
And he was so intimidating,
definitely.
Joe, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Could throw hard. He had that great earned run average.
Yeah. You know, the thing about Bob Gibson, I tell people, when he stood in the batter's box, you looked at him, he looked back at you, and his eyes would say, "You can't hit me." that's that intimidation you were talking about.
3-0 Tigers. And that old story about the guy came out to talk to him, and he said, what do you know about it? The only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And he was right in most cases.
1-1 on Abreu. Kenny Rogers on the mound. Hey, guys, I brought my overcoat out here. I didn't take any chances.
Yeah.
Oh, the weatherman gave us a beautiful night, didn't he?
I'll give you $1,000 for it.
Well, they were prepared as
There's
well.
an Explorer. I tell you.
Who is she?
Hey, that's a hard one. Then he swings and misses. I tell you, Captain Cook, who was an explorer of the North Pole, one of the first guys that found the North Pole. In 1909, he came to Detroit and saw the World Series, and it was so cold, he left. He threw out the first ball. Then after 3 innings, he left. It was too cold. Went back to the hotel. That's the kind of weather we get in the postseason. Foul back.
Next time, Joe and I will call you before we come to Detroit in October.
We'll give you a little weather report. I had an old overcoat out here I kept in the booth. And I kept the music I'd written in the booth. Somebody broke in, stole everything but my music and the overcoat. That tells you something, doesn't it? Abreu in close.
you wrote the song when Henry Aaron passed Babe Ruth.
Yeah, move over, Babe. Here comes Henry.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great. Was that your biggest hit?
Well, let me say I had more no-hitters than Nolan Ryan. Okay. 3-2 pitch. And he walked him. Well, the Yankees, Joe, have been a patient ball club as hitters most of the time, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they're veteran guys, you know, and they go up there looking for their pitch, and they make you give them something to hit normally, and that's been their makeup most of the year.
And Kenny Rogers is the kind of guy around the plate.
Yeah.
Well, that was a typical example. They laid off, and the guy gets a base on ball.
Right. He will nibble, and Jeter had about a 10-pitch at bat. I mean, that they do make you work.
Now, every time the Yankees have had a hit, they've not advanced.
Right.
Now they got to walk. Let's see what happens.
And that was their problem yesterday. They got a lot of runners on, but they could not get the clutch hit.
I mean, two teams saw more pitches than did the Yankees in all of Major League Baseball this year.
And here's A-Rod battling that slump. And it's a strike. Tigers lead it 3-0. Fourth inning, Yankees at bat. They've got a man on and nobody down. Fly ball, center field. That's Granderson. So Abreu goes back to third.
Now, Ernie, you've seen so many great players in the last 58 years since you first came to the big leagues as a broadcaster. How do these guys like Alex Rodriguez, some of the current great players, how do they stack up? Do they you like them as much as the old time?
I think they compare favorably. Yeah, they're big and strong. They hit the ball. I think every decade has its own stars.
Right.
And it's hard to compare. Willie Mays, you know, Willie Mays to me was the greatest player I ever saw. I saw him make his debut. I saw him in his early years with the Giants. Well, and then you got Ted Williams, and you go back, you got Hornsby and Cobb and all those guys. And I think any of those guys could play in any decade.
Right. Well, that's the way I always say, Ernie. If you're a star today, you would have been a star before. If you were a star then, you'd be a star today.
Sure.
I agree, but I agree with you 100%. Willie Mays is the greatest player I ever saw as well. So.
Well, Giambi trying to get the Yanks back in it now. He's got a strike on him. The man on and the mound on 2-0. Oh, the fastball. This guy reminds me in his pitching mode a little bit of Tanana. You know, he's picking here and there. A little curve here, a little nothing stuff. And then he comes in with a fair fastball, but looks a lot faster.
And the interesting about Tanana, he used to throw really hard before he hurt his arm, and then he became a great pitcher.
Stood there like the house by the side of the road and watch it go by.
Well, he threw him a good fastball in, and then he goes away right on the outside corner. Excellent pitch from Kenny Rogers. And I said this earlier, I think this is a different Kenny Rogers than what these Yankee hitters have seen before and how they've handled him before. Because he's pitching much better the second half this year than ever before.
Well, there's Posada trying to get something started. The Yankees just haven't moved anybody yet. 2 out, a man on, and the Tigers lead them 3-0.
Well, you make a good point, Ernie. Abreu led off this inning with a walk. He's still at first base. They've had one base runner in each inning, and that base runner never advanced.
The only difference, John, between this team and a lot of teams, one swing of the bat can change the whole game for the Yankees. And they seem to thrive off of somebody hitting the big fly or something, or getting them back in the ball game.
Well, they certainly got a great batting order, no question about that. There are not any easy outs in it.
Now, Joe thought when they all were in there at the same time, Sheffield's not in there tonight, that it may be the best lineup he's ever seen. How about you,
Top
Ernie?
to bottom.
Oh, I think so. I agree with that. You know, the batting percentage is not as high. If you go back in the record books, the Tigers had a team in 1921 that hit 316.
Yeah.
I think it was 316. Wow. But that's not an indication because I think Heilman hit 394 that year. Cobb hit 88, you know.
That's
And the
bad year
average,
for Cobb, right?
yeah, I like the way the averages are now. It's a good measurement. 300 hitters there shouldn't be too many of them. Let's put it that way.
Good point. See, I agree with that. You know, you had a time in the history of the game where you had 8 guys hitting 350 and above.
Yeah, the Phillies had a whole team hitting 300, and they were in the cellar. They had bad pitching.
Right. Yeah, 1930, the Phillies hit 315 and lost 102 games. Finished 40 games out. Ernie Harwell is here with us, the great legendary voice of the Tigers. Back behind the microphone with the Tigers in their first postseason since 1987. And Ernie, you were there in 68. 84 was also a great year.
Right.
Under Sparky Anderson. Tigers won it all.
Made the playoffs in 72. Oakland beat them.
That was a tough series. Oakland. 72.
Yeah, back and forth. Fly ball deep. Monroe going back. There's Granderson, and he's got it. And the Yankees are out in the 4th inning.
Ernie Harwell is here with us. We're at Comerica Park in Detroit. And the Tigers lead the Yankees 3-0. Pudge Rodriguez coming on. They won it all. And in the final game, Kirk Gibson had a day and a night to remember. A couple of big home runs. And we're going to take you back to those great moments when we have an opportunity. Right now, Pudge Rodriguez stands in against Randy Johnson. And again, the great voice of the Tigers, Ernie Harwell.
Well, here's Pudge. He got his single, his first hit in the series in the 2nd inning, and the Tigers have a 3-0 lead on 5 singles. There's a strike call from Randy Johnson. Tigers' 5 hits have all been singles. They went out 1-2-3 last inning against the big Yankee left-hander. There's a strike. Mr. Marquez said so. He's the first Mexican-born umpire to make the major leagues. This is his 6th year. Oh, Bill Clem went 38 years, Joe.
Man.
38. The greatest umpire of them all. There's a ball outside. And you know what? He worked behind the plate for 16 straight years. Only behind the plate. His partner had a nervous condition. They had 2 umpires, and he said, I'm going to work back at the plate so you won't get nervous. And he worked all those years.
Wow.
That's heavy duty, isn't it?
I had never heard that story.
Yeah. Bill Clem, they called him Catfish.
Now, Bruce Fleming is getting up there.
Yeah, Bruce is coming close. I don't know what Bruce has got, but he's a senior man. I know that.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing he got. He got Joe Morgan.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He tossed you, didn't he, Joe?
No. Bruce is my buddy. He never got me. I only got tossed twice now in my life.
Hey, now that's pretty good.
Yeah, right. 1 in each leg.
It was 3 times last year.
No, 1 in each leg.
It's going to get less every year.
No, hey, actually, John Kibler got me in the National League, and I'm trying to think of who got me in the American League. I only played 1 year in the American League.
Strike called. He's out for excessive window shopping. He looked at 1 too many.
Excessive window shopping. All right. We're going to go back now to 1984. Sparky Anderson in the dugout. Listen to this. Kirk Gibson at the plate. Goose Gossage on the mound. And Ernie, that just about wrapped it up.
Wow, that wrapped it up. That was a big home run. And the Tigers beat San Diego rather easily in that series. Alan Trammell was the MVP of the series. Gibby hit 2 home runs. It was a great time for the Tigers. Here's Casey. John Casey knocked in a run in the 2nd inning, the first Tiger run. He delivered with a single.
What was your favorite Tiger team of all time, Ernie?
Well, it's hard to say. I think the team that I enjoyed the most probably was 68. Although 84 was very close. It's like asking, you know, what kid do you like the best?
Whichever one stayed out of trouble the most.
Yeah, right. That's a good answer, Joe.
I know I've heard you say, though, that the 68 team, there was a lot of unrest. That was the long summer of 68.
Right.
And a lot of civil unrest.
Had a riot in 67 and brought the city back together. Johnson fielding a little tapper. And Casey is out. So that's 2 down now with nobody on in the Detroit. Joe, I wanted to ask you about the MVP.
Okay.
Do you think that Derek Jeter should be or not?
Well, you know, I can't argue with. I don't think anybody can argue about the fact if you choose Derek Jeter as the MVP. I just find that it's a difficult choice in the American League because you had Morneau, Jermaine died for a while, and you can't even throw Big Papi out of there.
Yeah.
But I'm a little partial to infielders, as you know. I'm trying to keep from being prejudiced here because I'm partial to infielders, and I know how difficult it is to play shortstop and then put up the numbers that he put up. And he was the most consistent player on the Yankees from day one because they had some tough times earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So my answer is yes.
Well, you were the voice of authority. You won the back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah, but I didn't get to vote.
There's a pitch in too close. You know, Roger Peckinpah was announced as the MVP in 1925, and then he made 8 errors in the World Series. And from then on, they decided that they would wait until after the World Series to name the MVP.
Okay. Well, that's good thinking.
Yeah. In too close. 3-0 on Inge.
Did you see this year's Tigers team being this good, Ernie, when the season started?
I really felt that the spring training, if they got to 500, it'd be a good year for them. I was fooled just like everybody else.
You're right about that. Everybody else.
But the difference, guys, were those 2 young pitchers that came along, Zamaya and the other guy.
Verlander.
Yeah.
There's Verlander. We saw him yesterday.
You know, if you get 1 pitcher, you're great. But if you get 2, that's amazing. Little pop fly into short center. That'll be picked off by Cano, and that's it, folks. Thanks for having me, putting up with me, John and Joe.
Ernie Harwell
with you.
This completes my legendary travel through the broadcast booth. I thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
The legendary voice of the Tigers, Ernie Harwell. Ernie, many thanks for coming on. It was great.
Thank you, sir.
We're in Detroit. Where else?
All right, thank you.
Our thanks to Ernie, and was one of the great gentlemen of the game, definitely. And he has taught generations of fans the game of baseball and the love of the game. And I think that always comes through with Ernie, Joe. With Ernie, baseball was just great company. Here is Hideki Matsui, and the big curveball from Kenny Rogers in there for a strike.
John, Kenny Rogers has been great tonight because he's been keeping these left-handed hitters off balance with his breaking ball, and he's keeping the right-handers off balance with his changeup. I mean, he has just been a different pitcher than I think the Yankees had seen before.
And curve misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
All those great numbers that they had against Kenny Rogers, they do not have them tonight.
And they have not, after having great numbers all season against all comers, they have not scored a run or even advanced a base runner since Johnny Damon's home run in the 4th inning yesterday. They put 1 man on base in each of the first 4 innings today, and the runner never got further than where he started. That's into the gap, left center. Monroe, no! Granderson backs up, and it's a double for Matsui. Hit number 4 for the Yankees, a leadoff double by Matsui. Now, the Sports Center 30 and 30 update. Here's Carl Ravitch.
John, thank you. The winner of this series, Sports Center has more on the A's, who advanced by beating the Twins today. A sweep. Last series the A's won was the 1990 American League Championship Series. They're back on the winning track. And police in Indianapolis investigating Steven Jackson of the Pacers, who fired a gun into the air outside a nightclub after he was hit by a car. He suffered scrapes and bruises. No one yet arrested. Sports Center after the game.
Thanks, Carl. And here is Bernie Williams. He lined out to third his first time. And there's ball 1 from Kenny Rogers. So Matsui keeps getting his hits. Yankees are not doing a whole lot offensively, but Matsui is now 4 for 10 in this series. Bernie Williams at 281. He played a lot more, Joe, probably than originally scheduled to play because of the injuries to Matsui and Sheffield, and Bernie did very well for the Yankees. And that's a ball, 2-0. Bernie got the start today rather than Gary Sheffield. As Joe pointed out earlier, Sheffield has only 3 hits and 17 at-bats against Rogers, but Bernie Williams a .353 lifetime average against him. And Rogers continues to throw off-speed stuff here to Bernie Williams.
Well, he's doing it with all the right-handers. He's kept them all off balance. That's why I say I think they're all looking at a different Kenny Rogers than what they're used to seeing. But this is the second time through the order. We'll see how it works the third time through the order. to see if they can make the adjustments.
It's Matsui, number 55 at second base. Nobody out in the inning. Cano is on deck. That ball is blasted down the left field line. That ball is a foul ball.
Well, the Yankees are looking for that one swing to get them back into the game. And that's what I was talking about last inning. I mean, they're such a good team. They got a lot of good hitters on this team. One good swing is what they're looking for. And this was close. And you can see it's definitely hooking. And since it doesn't disappear, that means it stayed on this side of the foul pole.
Tell you what, it may not have missed the foul pole by much.
It did not. It did not miss by much.
This is a big ballpark. It's much deeper down the left field line here than Yankee Stadium.
That's a home run, Yankee Stadium. It would have been fair by the time they got out of the ballpark.
It would not have had time to curve foul. It's 345 feet to the left field foul pole here.
Well, you can see it very close to hitting the foul pole.
And that's why the foul pole's there.
Yeah.
Runs that close. If it hits the pole, it's a home run. It's really the fair pole. 2-2 the count. Slider going inside the slider or cutter. Bernie Williams, of course, has 22 postseason home runs for the Yankees. I mean, Bernie's had such big hits in so many postseason series. And of course, there's Mr. October himself. Reggie Jackson in the stands. 3-2. And he struck it out and ball in the dirt. Bernie Williams swung at ball 4.
Well, he's not giving in. That's why I say this is a different Kenny Rogers. Even with a 3-run lead, he does not give in to Bernie Williams. And we were talking about how he's been able to keep the left-handers at bay. He's been doing it with a curveball. And watch the left-handers, the 3 left-handers in this lineup. That's all 3 outs. And he gets a call strike from Matsui. He's been able to handle them. And the righties, he's throwing the changeup. Look at him off the plate. He's running away from them. And they're going out there trying to get it, but they're not doing much with it. So that's his strategy tonight. A lot of breaking balls to the left-handers, a lot of changeups to the right-handers. And he's being effective on both sides.
Bernie Williams struck out. Now here is Cano. Cano got his first hit of the series back in the 3rd inning. And a little bit low.
And we talked about, Bernie Williams helping him out. This is the last pitch, but it's that changeup. And, they're just looking fastball 3-2. Bernie thought it was a fastball and way out in front. And it even bounces, but he's tricking him and he's keeping him off balance.
And that's his game. He's not going to blow anybody away. I was talking to Kenny Rogers Wednesday night at Yankee Stadium, and he was in the minor leagues for 7.5 years. And he's not bitter about it. He said, I needed every day of that time in the minor leagues. He said, I was as raw as you could be. He says, I needed all that time to learn what this was all about. And it always kind of saddens him when he sees guys who are not ready to be here, because he thinks it hurts him. Kenny Rogers, who was a leader among the young pitchers on this staff. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The hook. Big curveball again. You don't see this as much in this day and age as you did in the past. A lot of left-handed pitchers would always throw left-handed hitters a lot of curveballs. You can see that 1 finger up. A lot of people grip the ball differently on their curveball. They want it to slide out of their hand. The fans here are starting to stand for the strikeouts.
A la Yankee Stadium. And it was often this way at the old Tiger Stadium when the Tigers were good. Matsui at second. He dropped down with the breaking ball that time. 2-2. The Yankees have had 10 batters up there with a runner on base in this game, and those batters are 0 for 10. No hits, 10 at bats with runners on base. There's Johnny Damon on deck. Matsui led off the inning with a double, but then Bernie Williams struck out. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the dangerous Robinson Cano. He struck it out.
I think that looked like a changeup or something. It was different from the other pitches that he threw, Cano. It looks like a screwball. That's not that big curveball. That's like a changeup. Well, I wondered why Cano was looking back, and that's what it was. Rogers' reaction.
So he struck out Bernie Williams. Then he got Cano. And here is Johnny Damon. Ball 1. Damon is flied out to left center and flied out to shallow right. He is 0 for 2. Kenny Rogers has lost 7 consecutive decisions for the Yankees. To shortstop, Guillen. The side is retired. 3-0 Detroit in 60 seconds. We'll visit with Joe Torre from the Yankee dugout. Back with Joe Torre in 60. And we welcome Joe Torre, the Yankee manager from the Yankee dugout, here on the telecast with us. Joe, thank you.
Okay, John.
Hey, Joe, I mean, we came into this ball game, I know you did, thinking about Randy Johnson and how well he would perform, but he's performing and your offense is not performing.
Yeah, you know, Kenny Rogers doing a heck of a job. I mean, he's changing speeds. He teases you a great deal. You know, we've hit some balls on the nose, but again, we haven't been able to put anything together.
What about Gary Sheffield, Joe? He was in the original lineup and then were replaced by Bernie Williams. How come?
Well, you know, I came to the ballpark and I said, yeah, let's just go the same way. And I remember earlier, before the series started, I looked at the matchups for all the starters, and Bernie stuck out to me, and I got to thinking about it again. And, you know, one thing I had put out of my mind is Jason's availability to play first. I checked with him. He was fine, so I decided to change and put Bernie in.
All right, Joe, many thanks for coming on.
And good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks.
Joe Torre, the great manager of the New York Yankees. There's Gary Sheffield, not in there tonight. Jason Giambi. And he mentioned Giambi's availability for first base. He's always been a first baseman in his career, but that wrist has caused him some problems at times. So Giambi said, yeah, I can go at first. So you see it's all heavily taped up right now. So he made the change. This is Curtis Granderson. Granderson beat out a would-be double play ball to knock in the Tigers' second run, and that 3-run second inning rally. They lead 3-0. Runs up as if to bunt, and it's in there for a called strike.
Now, a lot of teams just say, well, he's pitching well, meaning Rogers. Let's see how he goes after the 6th inning or whatever. But the problem is, if you get to that Tiger bullpen, they may be better than Rogers. So I'm not so sure that that's the best option tonight. Better try to score some runs quickly.
Granderson in the air. There's Alex Rodriguez. The wind blowing it, but he makes the catch near the stands. Granderson retired, 1 away. Randy Johnson, since he gave up a single to Polanco that knocked in the 3rd of those runs in the 2nd inning, has retired everybody he's seen. That's 8 in a row. And here comes Polanco.
I have to say I'm impressed with Randy because, you know, coming in with the back problem, whatever, you just didn't know what you're going to get from him. Obviously, he's still trailing 3-0, but he has given the Yankees an opportunity to win. He's kept them in the ball game.
Polanco is 2 for 2 as the leadoff man. And that's ball 1.
And there was a lot of talk earlier that all he had to do was hold them, you know, to 3 or 4 runs, and they thought they could win because of the numbers that they had against Kenny Rogers, thinking that this was going to be a high-scoring ball game. But again, I think they're seeing a different Kenny Rogers than what they're used to seeing, and they're not coping with it. They haven't been able to make the adjustments. But we'll see. It's still a long way to go.
2-0 the count now.
I still think the Yankees need one swing away from changing the direction of this ball game.
Well, and yesterday they were frustrated. They had runners all over the bases in the early innings against Verlander, and finally, with 2 down in the 4th inning, Damon hits one into the upper deck, 3 runs, just like that. Showing bunt taking 2 low, 3-0. Well, that was interesting, Joe. Showing bunt on 2-0.
Well, I think he was going to take all the way, and he just wanted to make sure Alex Rodriguez knew that he was watching him. And by the same token, they're down 3-0. The Yankees cannot, give up any more runs right now.
Not with guys like Zumaya, Fernando Rodney, and the like in that bullpen. That's in there for a strike, 3-1 now. And the Tigers are one of those clubs. Best to beat him in the first 6 innings. Although Jim Leland had something interesting about Zumaya because he's so young. Something interesting to say about him before the game today. That is fair. Oh, they called it foul. I beg your pardon. I umpired incorrectly from the booth.
Well, they worked very well together. And Tim McClellan tried to get out of the way of the ball, so he allowed, he allowed the third base umpire to make the call.
And that's going to be questioned. I thought I saw the paint, the white paint on blades of grass fly in the air, and then it had hit the foul line so that it was a fair ball. And Jim Leland, I think, saw the same thing.
Yeah, but I think what happened is, being honest with you, it's McClellan's call. But watch, he's getting out of the way. Now you see Vanover here looking down the line to help him out.
Well, look at that, it hit right on the line.
And that looks like it hit some chalk. But you can see McClellan is trying to get out of the way, so he doesn't have a clear view of the play. So he allowed Vanover to make the call at third base. And being honest with you, Vanover may not have been ready to make the call. He was watching it, and he did try to help McClellan out. But it did appear that there was some chalk flying there.
Well, what's the left field umpire there for if he doesn't make that call?
Well, but he was trying to get out of the way. That's what he was doing. The ball was hooking right towards him.
Well, Polanco reaches base anyway, not with an extra base hit, but he gets the walk. So, Tim McClellan, the veteran umpire and one of the best balls and strike umpires in the game. But I think you're right, Joe. I mean, he just didn't see the play.
No, he was getting out of the way. The ball was lined down towards him, and he looked like he was trying to stay there as long as he could, and then he had to bail.
Strike 1 to Craig Monroe. Monroe has flied out to left center and flied out to left. 28 home runs in the regular year, including the home run that Jim Leland agreed was probably the biggest hit by the Tigers all year. And the slider, it's 0-2.
Now watch McClellan. See, the ball's coming towards him. He's trying to get out of the way. And the ball does clip, looks like the outer edge of the chalk. And you can see he's actually not making the call. He's trying to get some help right there with his hands up. That tells him that he's not making the call. And Vanover tried to help him out, and he made the call.
I mean, you're 100% right. I just don't understand how there could be a call that he can't make. That's what he's out there for. As Monroe goes down, out number 2. And Vanover, I think, as you say, Joe, probably anticipated that McClellan was going to make the call too.
Right.
So probably did not get as good a look at it. So maybe Vanover should also have said, I'm not going to make that call either. Let's go with John Miller's call from up in the booth. So a amongst all the umpires, the only guy who had it right was the broadcaster.
Now watch McClellan throw his hands up right there. He's got his hands up like I can't make the call. He's looking at Vanover. And you see Vanover right away picks up that he's not going to make the call, and he makes the call.
By the way, we always say chalk. There's chalk on the infield there, but it's usually it's just paint. They paint the outfield foul lines along the grass. But it kicked up some of the grass that had the white paint on it. One strike the count to Marcus Timms. Did he swing?
Yes.
Yeah, the plate umpire made the call himself, Alfonso Marquez. 0-2 the count. When this inning is over, we're going to visit with Jim Leland, the Tiger manager, from the dugout.
I'll tell you what's interesting, Johnny, and true, we did see the chalk fly up in slow motion, but if you do that in regular speed, I'm not sure you can even see the chalk fly up. It caught the outer edge of the line.
There goes the runner, and Timms bounces one foul. You know, I saw one in San Francisco earlier this year, Joe, and the umpire called it foul, and it looked like the same thing, like we saw the white chalk and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the sports writer Henry Shulman of the Chronicle went out and looked at the area the next day and said, well, it was paint, number one. There's no chalk to be kicked up. And if you throw a baseball on the grass near the foul line, white stuff pops up from underneath anyway because of the sand-based surface that they use beneath the grass.
See, in slow motion, you'll be able to see there. You can see the grass coming up. I mean, remember, in fast motion, it's more difficult to see it.
Well, you saw the grass coming up. You saw the grass coming up, but also you saw the ball appear to land right on that foul line. 0-2 the count. And now they've got Polanco picked off to throw by Giambi, and this time he's out. Marcus Timms will lead off the next inning for the Tigers. Jeter, Abreu, and A-Rod coming up in 60 seconds. We'll visit with Jim Leland from the Tiger dugout. Tigers leading the Yankees as we go to the 6th inning. And we are joined now from the Tiger dugout by Tiger manager Jim Leland. Jim, thank you.
Jim, I've been saying that maybe that this is a different Kenny Rogers than what the Yankees are used to seeing. Am I correct, or is this the same Kenny Rogers?
No, I think it's a little different Kenny Rogers. Obviously, they've only seen him one time, something like in the last 4 years. Right. It's a little bit different. Plus, he's not pitching in the Texas heat the second half like he was before.
And you also said just at your news conference, now maybe people think we belong here. Guess what? You do belong, right?
That's right.
Hey, Jim, you went out and talked to the umpires about that ball hit by Polanco. What did they tell you about them making that call?
He said he just had it foul, but it's easy to see that it's fair once you see 3 replays, so I have no problem. I tried to get him to ask Tim McClellan, but he wouldn't do it.
All right. Jim, many thanks.
Thank you.
Jim Leland. So he was very magnanimous.
Yeah, well, he always is.
Yeah. It's easy to get the call right when you've seen 3 replays.
But the one thing I like, and he made the point there, as I said, that this is a different Kenny Rogers than what they're used to seeing. They haven't seen him that much, except he said in Texas, in the Texas heat, there is a difference in pitching the second half of the season in Texas as compared to pitching any place else in the country.
Well, there were, for many years, that Texas ball club seemingly almost always would collapse sometime around August, and that was the prevailing theory. Look at that. Kenny Rogers, Gold Glove pitcher, and he intercepted Derek Jeter's base at the center and turned it into an out.
Well, when we were doing the defense, we showed that Pudge Rodriguez had 11 Gold Glove. Kenny Rogers has 4. And I mean, this is right back through the middle. But the one thing to remember, a guy that doesn't throw hard, his finish is right there. He doesn't fall off to either side. See how he's in good position? I mean, he doesn't really catch this. It catches him, but he still gets the glove up in time to knock it down. But if you're a power pitcher, you usually fall off to one side or the other, whereas if you're a guy that finesses and stays right there, you're in better fielding position. And that's why he has been able to win Gold Gloves, because he's in good fielding position once he releases the ball.
Here's Bobby Abreu. Pitchers, and that's in for a strike. Pitchers almost universally have nightmares about line drives coming right back at him like that.
And I think sometimes hitters have nightmares about hitting a ball back at a pitcher like that.
Abreu with a swing and a foul. You have nightmares about that?
Not now. But I mean, this is, watch Rogers, but see, he stays in good fielding position. He's right on the toes, right on his toes, and you can see he sticks it up. It actually gets, it looks like it may have got a piece of his left hand.
Man, that was headed right for his head. 0-2 the count. Yankee lineup tonight had a collective .391 average lifetime against Rogers, but he's got a 4-hit shutout going against him with 1 out in the 6th inning.
And I tell you one thing, Rogers is a smart pitcher. He knows that he hasn't had success with certain pitches against some of these hitters, and I guarantee you he is a different Kenny Rogers than what they've seen in the past. He's pitching them differently, and he's changed the way he's attacking them, and he's getting all the right-handers with the changeup, and the left-handers he's throwing a lot of breaking balls, so he's just keeping them off balance completely.
1-2 the count. Inside with that curveball. 2-2. One thing too, I'd say, Joe, this is a theory that I'm working on.
Okay.
This is a very big ballpark. This ballpark favors the pitcher. So,
well, being honest with you, they haven't hit anything to let us find out.
Yeah. Kenny Rogers is not allowed.
He is not allowing them to use. I don't care if we're playing on a Little League field. So far, he'd still haven't shut out.
Struck him out. Number 5 for Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers, the 41-year-old left-hander, a 17-game winner, up against the 43-year-old Randy Johnson, also a 17-game winner. And Kenny Rogers has lost 7 straight games to the Yankees, but tonight he's dazzling them.
Well, see, a Little League park would hold that one right there. I mean, he's just magnificent with the breaking ball, his curveball. And you can see he is fired up, and a lot of times he's been accused of being laid back, but he is not laid back tonight.
Here's A-Rod. Fastball up and away for ball 1. Bobby Abreu strikes out for the first time. 3-0 Detroit. The Tigers got 3 runs in the second as they bunched together 4 hits. There was also a controversial call by the third base umpire on a play at third that went the Tigers' way. There was also a pickoff of a runner, Granderson, which the Yankees did not turn in. They did not get an out on it. All of those things part of a 3-run rally for the Tigers in the second inning that has them leading still 3-0 in the 6th. The winner of this game will take a 2-1 lead in this best-of-5 series. And Joe, there have been 33 best-of-5 series in Major League history that have gone to game 3 tied at 1. The team that won the 3rd game in those 33 series has won the series 25 out of 33 times. So this is a huge game. It always has been. Jared Wright tomorrow. There's Jared. Jeremy Bonderman, who pitched it earlier. Tomorrow for Detroit in game 4. 2-0, nobody on. Alex Rodriguez 0 for 2 in the game. The changeup.
See, I don't think he's ever thrown Alex Rodriguez this many changeups before. He has been able to get him out the first 2 times up with changeups. And he's ahead of him now throwing him a couple of changeups. The one thing about Jared Wright pitching tomorrow, I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the moment because he has started the 7th game of the World Series once.
2-2. That hit him.
Well,
Alex Rodriguez took one for the team right there. And now Jason Giambi comes up. Kenny Rogers on the hill, and for more on that, let's go down to Aaron Andrews.
Well, John, you and Joe mentioning it all night. Kenny Rogers, he has lost 7 consecutive decisions to the Yankees. Joe mentioning how he looks like he is different from all the other times he has faced the Yankees. Kenny Rogers said before this game, pitching against New York will be as big of a challenge as I have ever faced, and he thought he was ready to go, guys.
Well, he's proving it, that's for sure. Look at that lifetime. 5-7, a 6.45 ERA, including 7 consecutive decisions lost to the Yankees. Earlier in his career, he was a relief pitcher. So when you talk about career record, his career goes back a long way. He's 41 years old. Mason Giambi is flied out to right and been called out on strikes. 3 infielders play to the right of second. You see the shift is on the second baseman. Polanco is well out into right field for Giambi. Off the outside. Ball 1.
I thought he would change maybe a little bit of his pattern at third or time through this lineup. He hasn't changed anything. And he shouldn't have changed because it was all working.
Up to the bag, A-Rod. The Yankees have had 6 men reach base in this game. Exactly 1 per inning. And no base runner has moved up even as much as 1 base after reaching. Nobody's moved up on a ground out. Nobody's moved up on a fly ball. Nobody's moved up at all. Right there. Casey, the inning is over. 6 shutout innings for Kenny Rogers. Marcus Thames, Maglio Ordonez, Carlos Guillen coming up against the big unit. The Tigers lead the Yankees 3-0 in Game 3 of the American League Division Series. The first game here in Detroit. And Marcus Thames, who was at the plate when Placido Polanco was picked off to win the 5th inning, will lead off here with Maglio Ordonez, the cleanup hitter, and Carlos Guillen to follow. And Thames, who has 2 home runs in his career against Randy Johnson in only 11 lifetime at-bats. He fouls that fastball away. 95 miles an hour. So the big unit, Joe, thrown 82 pitches, and he's still throwing well.
Yeah, I mean, he's throwing the ball well, like I said to Joe. I mean, they came in concerned about Randy Johnson. They didn't come in concerned about their offense because they thought they could put some numbers up against Kenny Rogers. But Randy Johnson has done a fine job, but they have not been able to make a dent in Kenny Rogers tonight.
I remember the old days, guys we used to listen to, Russ Hodges, Lon Simmons, probably Ernie Harwell. They talk about Kenny Rogers and say, well, he's allowed 6 base runners, but he's scattered them. Well, because the Tigers only had 6 base runners, but they bunched them. Yeah. Put them all together in that second inning, got 3 runs.
Well, we saw that yesterday. I mean, they had key hits in key situations. The Yankees have not had key situations tonight to have a chance to get those base hits. Jeter had a double, but they really have not had a lot of opportunities to drive in any runners. But that's why if the Yankees make it back in the game, it's going to be 1 swing. They're going to have a guy on base or 2 and somebody, hit a double or a home run.
Marcus Thames leads off the 6th inning with a walk. Let's take a look at our game track presented by Intel. Joe Torre sends out his pitching coach to the mound. Kenny Rogers has been superb. A 4-hit shutout through 6. He got 5 strikeouts. Sean Casey, with this base hit, knocked in a run. Granderson beat out a double play ball to knock in a run, and then finally with 2 down, Polanco singled to center for the 3rd run of the inning. Granderson came around to score it. In the middle of that inning, though, there was a very controversial call at third base. It looked like it went against the Yankees. Pudge Rodriguez, I think, was thrown out by Bobby Abreu, but was called safe, and he eventually scored the 2nd run of the inning. There's Brian Bruni up in the Yankee bullpen.
And it's a very dangerous time for the Yankees because, again, they could not afford to fall any farther behind.
There's one.
Nice play. It's
double play.
Nice turn. That's the way you make the double play on ground ball to third base. You come get it. He came across the bag, got out of the way of the runner, and turned the double play. Nice play by Robinson Cano there. Watch him come right across the bag, get out of the runner's way, make the throw. See a lot of guys stand right at the bag there on that play, and that allows the runner to get on top of them, and they're not able to make the throw to first base sometimes.
That runner has mayhem on his mind.
Yeah.
So 2 down. Here is Carlos Guillen. Guillen started that 3-run 2nd inning rally with a single. All of their hits in the game have occurred in the first 2 innings, 4 of the 5 in the second inning round. Off the glove of Jeter. And Guillen is safe.
Guillen is a good hitter. I mean, from both sides, he hits the ball hard, hits line drives. I thought Jeter got up high enough to make this catch, but it went off of his glove. Let's see. I thought he was high enough. It just might have been hit too hard. I mean, he gets up high enough. See, it hits the glove. It actually hits the, it hits the left side of his glove. But like I said, it was hit so hard, he may not have had time to really gauge it.
So Guillen with the first hit for the Tigers since the second inning. 2 down. Here is Punch Rodriguez. He singled in the second inning. In the dirt. They saved there by Posada. 3-0 Tigers, last of the 6th. Jeter, that's Derek Jeter's hand, and he's shaking it. It looks like he's also trying to maybe do a little stretching of that wrist or something.
Well, he probably, when he landed, he put his left hand down to kind of, soften his fall. And that's what happens a lot of times.
There goes the runner. That's a fair ball past the diving Rodriguez. Guillen to third. He's had it home. He'll score easily. 4-0 Detroit.
Tried to hit and run in the first ball game, and it didn't work. This time, in a different situation, runner at first, he takes a slider in, and Rodriguez rips it down the line. No chance for A-Rod. He makes a dive, but he cannot get there. And they were able to score Guillen all the way from first base.
Punch Rodriguez with the first extra base hit of the night for the Tigers. Casey, that's a called strike on the outside. That hit for Rodriguez coming after he was 0 for 8 in the first 2 games of this series. Tonight he had that big single in the 3-run second inning rally, and now an RBI double on the hit and run play.
And make no mistake about it, Guillen probably would not have been able to score without the hit and run.
Right center field, into the gap. All the way to the wall. Punch scores. Casey to second. 5-0 Tigers.
Well, you just had to know that Randy was running out of gas. You could just see it because, I mean, the guy has not pitched lately, and he's been under pressure the whole game.
So the Yankees go to the bullpen. Randy Johnson with the herniated disc in his back. And he's gone in the 6th. Down 5-0.
How you doing, sir? Orientation, 7th floor. Sign in, please.
If you're a new full-time employee.
On ESPN2 and Fox, first at noon on ESPN2. Baseball tonight, followed by Game 3 of the Padres and Cardinals. Cardinals try to clinch at home at 4 Eastern on Fox. Game 4, Tigers Yankees, right here from Detroit. That'll be on Fox. And finally at 7:30 on Fox, Game 3, Dodgers Mets. That's all tomorrow. So here we'll have Joe and I, in fact, we're going down to St. Louis for the Padres and Cardinals tomorrow at noon on ESPN2. This is Brian Bruni, and it's 2-0 to Brandon Inge. And Joe, it's interesting, Randy Johnson in each of his last 3 regular season starts allowed 5 earned runs. And he leaves the ball game here in the postseason, 5 runs on the board again.
Well, I'm going to have to say that, he was running out of gas. He pitched probably as long as he could have. That was going to be his last inning anyway, I'm sure. And after 2 outs, it looked like he was going to get out of the inning, and he couldn't. But, you know, you have to give him credit. He went out there. He hasn't been 100%. And he did a good job. It's not the pitching's fault. It's that they haven't been able to score. Kenny Rogers has just shut them down. Randy Johnson would have had to be pitching a shutout right now just to still be tied.
The Yankees have had a base runner in every inning against Rogers, but just the one. Meanwhile, Randy Johnson has breezed through several innings in this game, or now in the past tense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But in the second inning, they bunched 4 hits together and got 3 runs, and with 2 down and nobody on here in the 6th, 3 consecutive hits.
But we got 3 innings left for the Yankees to make the dent in Rogers if they can get out of this inning without getting any more runs scored, and they can.
98 miles an hour from Brian Bruni on the inside corner. Inge called out. So we head into the late innings. Posada, Matsui, Bernie Williams coming up, but they're down by 5. Hometown team, the Tigers, in their first postseason in 19 years, are leading 5-0 into the 7th inning. 25 of the 33 best-of-5 series that were tied at 1. The winner in Game 3 won the series. So an overwhelming majority of the time is Kenny Rogers, who's shut out the Yankees. A mighty Yankee lineup.
John, who was that said this was the best hitting lineup ever? Who's that guy? I'm gonna have to rethink it if I don't see something in the next 3 innings.
Somebody who knows a lot about what he's talking about.
I thought I was right on the money, but I tell you what, if I don't see it a little better in the next 3 innings, I may have to rethink that.
Now you're starting to sound like a Yankee fan. Yeah.
I never thought I would see this, but Kenny Rogers has been magnificent.
This whole Posada doesn't make it out here. Joe will be booing him for up here.
No, but I mean, look, the Yankees aren't swinging the bats well, but it's a combination because Kenny Rogers is magnificent. I mean, he's changing speeds, he's hitting his spots. I mean, he's just doing everything that a pitcher needs to do to keep this lineup off balance.
Hit hard to center field. Granderson, he'll have to chase it. Out to the wall on a couple of bounces. It's a double for Posada.
I told you this was the best hitting lineup ever.
Man, these guys can hit. Posada's second hit of the game. Well, getting somebody on base has not been a problem. Right. They've had one in every inning. But once he gets there, nothing happens.
But again, I mean, the key is that last inning. I mean, 5 runs is a lot to overcome. As you see Posada go out and get the change. They make adjustments. They're that good. I mean, you know they're going to make some adjustments to how he was getting them out the entire ball game. But like you said, you still have to score some runs. And now they have to score 5 instead of the 3 that they needed earlier.
Posada is 5 for 8 in this series, or 5 for 9 in the series. Phone call being made to the bullpen. Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach, as Matsui bounces a foul. Matsui is struck out and doubled. And there's Jamie Walker, the left-hander, up in the bullpen. And Fernando Rodney, number 56, the right-hander, is also up out there. 5-0. Detroit ahead in the 7th inning. Well, one thing, Jim Leland, after the game yesterday, and his team won the game. He said, you know, we got a huge break not having to play last night under the lights and playing today with the long shadows. He thought that was a great advantage for his young pitchers who were throwing 100 miles an hour and throwing them with very poor visibility for the hitters. And whether that was a determining factor in the game, who knows? I mean, it was the same for both teams. But the Yankees didn't have anybody out there throwing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. They had.
There's Joel Zumaya, who pitched yesterday so brilliantly.
Well, they finally move a runner.
A productive out. Although down by 5, the Tigers, they just want the out. Matsui thrown out by Polanco. Jim Leland, his first year with the Tiger Ball Club, and a dramatic turnaround over what had been happening here in Detroit. Let's go down to Aaron for more on that.
You're right about that, John. And, you know, talking to Pudge Rodriguez today before the game, he credits his manager for all the little things that he says and does to motivate the team. We mentioned what he said yesterday after the press conference, saying maybe people believe now we're a playoff team. Pudge Rodriguez believes that he did that to get his Tigers to listen up. He also, yesterday, when Johnny Damon hit that 3-run home run in the bottom of the 4th, when his team returned to the dugout, he was standing, clapping his hands, telling the guys, let's go. His belief to do that, he said, was to get the guys going, get them to believe it's not over. He told them, we've been battling all year, so get back out there and battle. And Rodriguez says that has a lot to do with our mentality and us fighting back, John.
Well, they had to fight back yesterday, that's for sure. And it was a team that didn't have a whole lot of adversity during the season. They jumped out hot from the beginning. At one time, they were 40 games over 500 with a huge lead in their division. Bernie hits a foul. Quickly, he's behind with the count 0-2 with a runner at third and 1 out. Bernie is 0 for 2 in the game. But then they finished the year in a bad slump and lost the division title on the last day of the season, which was an incredible shock to just about everybody. Not just here in Detroit. And they lost game 1 to the Yankees. They fell behind yesterday, and ever since then, it's been all Detroit. We're in the 7th, 1 out. The Tiger bullpen is very busy. Back of the 41-year-old veteran, Kenny Rogers. Curveball. Pretty good eye by Bernie right there.
Yeah, well, that pitch broke off the plate inside. There you see Zumaya and Walker up throwing. Zumaya's joined Walker. Fernando Rodney is set down.
Jim Leland did the same thing yesterday. He had Rodney up at first and then changed his mind and had him sit and put Zumaya up. Curveball, strike 3.
Well, he's been just pitching beautifully. I mean, needs a strikeout. I mean, that's a big-time curveball right there. There's a lot of break. He gets beat by the speed of the pitch, and he gets beaten by the break.
The fans are chanting, Kenny, Kenny. Cano, strike 1.
And even when he's fallen behind the hitters, he has not given in. He's gone to the changeup, to the breaking ball. I mean, he has just been magnificent out there on the mound.
Curveball. Casey to Rogers. Side retired. They said he couldn't win the big one. They said he wilted under pressure. Kenny Rogers having the game of his life tonight in Detroit. The New York Yankees 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight after going 1 for 8 in those same clutch situations yesterday.
John, you know, I was sitting there and I was figuring this out, how to get myself off the hook here.
Yeah.
You know, I said that this is the best hitting lineup ever.
Yeah.
Well, I think I figured it out. Kenny Rogers is the best left-hander I've ever seen. Well, he shut down the best lineup.
How many lefties
he can shut down the best lineup?
Have pitched better in a big game than he's pitched tonight? Not many.
Well, you have to give him a lot of credit again. I mean, because the Yankees came in with a lot of confidence against the guy because everybody had success against him. And he knew it, too. He knew that they've had success against him. But he's been able to handle this lineup. And so far, but, you know, as the guy from New York said that time, it's never over till it's over.
That guy?
Yeah.
Your fellow Hall of Famer?
My buddy.
Number 8?
Number 8. Fellow number 8.
That ball hit by Granderson way back there. Adios! High into the bleachers. home run of this series for Curtis Granderson and his 5th RBI of this series. Curtis Granderson, around the country, people saying, who is that? They're just discovering him. And here in Detroit, they've been cheering him all year. But Curtis Granderson, talk about elevating his game when it counts the most. Polanco, left field, and Matsui, 1 away.
Well, let's take a look. As you said, Granderson hits his 2nd home run, 1 off of Myers and now off of Bruni. That fastball down, and he elevates it. He knew it was gone as soon as he hit it. I was standing around the batting cage yesterday, John, before the game, and I'd never seen a group of guys as confident as the Detroit was. And I didn't want to mention it yesterday because I didn't want to jinx them, but they felt like they were going to win yesterday's ball game, and then they would be in control of the series, just if it was 1-1.
And did you kind of quietly laugh about?
No, I didn't laugh. Because I've always been around enough teams to know that if they have a lot of confidence in themselves, they can accomplish a lot. Well, let's take a look at this. He drags the head, and then all of a sudden it catches up. That's a nice swing. You'll see a lot of hitters. They'll be leading with their knob of their bat, and then they just turn it over.
There's Ron Vallone up in the Yankee bullpen. Craig Monroe, the hitter, who hit 28 home runs this year. To the deepest part of the ballpark. Johnny Damon. It's 435 feet to that spot behind Damon. At number 2, here's the Sports Center 30 and 30 update with Carl Ravitch.
Hi, John. Sports Center follows the game, then baseball tonight. Certainly much more on the A's, who dismissed the Twins from the postseason. 8-3. Eric Chavez went deep. It was the 5th sweep in A's franchise history. Sports Center following this story. Chris Henry of the Bengals, a 2-game suspension for violating the conduct and substance abuse policy. He's the 6th Bengals player to have been arrested this year on various charges, John.
Wow. Thanks, Carl. Marcus Timms, the hitter. 1 ball, no strikes. Timms 0 for 2 with a walk. 6-0 Detroit. And it is 2-0. Tomorrow, Jarrett Wright scheduled for the Yankees. And young Jeremy Bonderman. He's only 23, although he's a veteran. Here's Bonderman in the warm-up jacket. He's had 4 years in the big leagues already. Used to be with Oakland. Oakland originally drafted Bonderman. 2-1 the count. Well, Joe, you're talking about this Yankee lineup, and you see Bonderman had a pretty good regular season, 14-8. You're talking about the Yankees and this great lineup and all these great sluggers. We know they can hit. We know that they're great sluggers. But there's always that old bromide. Jared Wright going tomorrow for the Yankees. The old bromide is that good pitching will stop good hitting. Now,
I've always agreed with that, John. Good pitching will stop good hitting, but I don't think good pitching stops great hitting. And maybe I give it a little bit too much, because I believe if you're a great hitting lineup, good pitching won't stop you. Now, great pitching can stop you, but not good pitching.
But now the 1972, the Oakland Athletics faced a very good Big Red Machine, Cincinnati.
Well, we weren't the machine yet.
It was pretty good, though.
Yeah, but we weren't the machine yet.
Well, don't tell Johnny Bench about it.
Well,
Tony Perez was there.
We weren't the machine yet.
Pete Rose was there. You guys haven't learned how to hit yet, or what? Catfish Hunter, Vida Blue, Kenny Holtzman, Raleigh Fingers. Sounds like a nightmare for Joe Morgan. On to the 8th inning, top of the order, coming up for the Yankees. To the 8th inning, the Tigers ahead 6-0 in Game 3 over the Yankees. Here's the Yellow Book pitching summary. Randy Johnson, 5 2/3 innings, 5 runs, 8 hits allowed. Kenny Rogers. Rogers, 7 shutout innings. I think the most vivid recent memory for New York fans of Kenny Rogers was walking in the winning run in an elimination game against the Atlanta Braves while he was with the Mets. And that kind of colored a lot of people's thinking in regards to Rogers, especially in New York, ever since. But Jim Leland told us when we were here, Joe, in August for a Sunday night game, he thought Kenny Rogers was the best free agent signing that any team made.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt looking at it now.
He said there were a lot of guys who got paid a lot more money than Kenny Rogers who didn't win 17 games for their teams or lead a young pitching staff. And tonight he's got a great one going against the Yankees. Now they've got the top of their batting order, and they are a ball club that can cause a lot of trouble, and it can take a while to rein them in. Can they get something going? They're running out of time. 6 outs of life left to them. Jeter on deck, Abreu in the hole. He's got a 2-strike count. The crowd rises to its feet. He struck him out.
I mean, that curveball that he's throwing tonight is just disappearing. These guys are not able to pick up the spin, and it just continues to break. Let's take a look at Kenny Rogers. I mean, he's been doing this the entire ball game. Watch the location. Look at that, right on the edge. Right on the edge again. I mean, he has been doing this the entire evening. So you just have to say that he has been able to stay on the middle of the plate and keep these Yankee hitters off balance. And here's the last pitch to Damon, that big breaking curveball. I mean, that ball is diving. And it's diving. And normally a curveball gets you one or two ways. It can get you with the speed. It acts like an off-speed pitch. Or it can get you with the break. Tonight his is getting you both ways. Big breaking ball and the speed. And you see Don Mattingly talking to Damon about it.
Change up to Jeter. Well, that was a great package of pitches, Joe, of explaining
why he's been so successful.
What he's doing. I mean, those pitches are all right
on
there.
the edge. Yeah.
Completely pitches. 1 ball, 1 strike to Jeter, who's doubled, rounded into a double play, and hit a line shot back at Rogers. And that's a foul. 1 and 2. By the way, I want to compliment our crew putting that package together. That's what they do, and they do it. They're behind the scenes. But the job they did to get here, remember, we were supposed to have a Wednesday night game and a day of travel for them all to get here. And most of them traveled all night long. And they're here on top of their game. And we salute them, this great ESPN baseball crew. We just got a piece of that one.
I tell you, that curveball, when you see so many good hitters missing it completely, that tells you that there's a tremendous break at the end. I mean, the ball is just exploding at the end. Look at that. I mean, look how big it is. Look how much it goes down. Another pitch right on the knees.
Everybody standing. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jeter. Just missing on the inside.
Well, I don't think you can convince Kenny Rogers that this wasn't a strike. Let's take a look. And he was right. I didn't think you could convince him it wasn't. Just by the way he looks. Look at his reaction. He thought that was a strike.
2-2. And he misses way outside. And he might still be a little unhappy about that previous call. Because he put it right there. And he put it right there. And we just showed he'd been doing it all night.
Yeah.
Bobby Abreu on deck. The Yankees need base runners. Now he's ready. 3-2. And he lost it.
There was no doubt that one was inside.
And now,
I think Jim Leland.
He's got the bullpen ready, and he knows Rogers is a little upset. He had thrown 99 pitches coming into this inning, and he is 41 years old. He's got the left-handed hitting Abreu due up. And now the plate umpire goes out to break it up, and Leland already had broken it up himself.
I think that was a calming visit. That was to calm him down because, like you said, he was a little bit upset at the pitch to Jeter. And I think he found that he looked out there and he thought he was getting a little too excited himself. You know what I mean? He was getting a little excited out there and he just wanted to calm him down.
I mean, when you're in a zone like he's in tonight, you've been there. I mean, there's got to be some combination of the focus, the adrenaline.
Everything is working perfectly. You're right. Every ball he gets in his hands feels good.
Abreu drops a bunt. Third base side, foul. Halfway up the line to third base, it rolled foul. Nice try, though, by Abreu. They need base runners. The last time the Tigers had a shutout in the postseason was against the Kansas City Royals, and that was a clinching game that sent them to the World Series when the League Championship Series was a best-of-5. The last time they had a complete game shutout, 1972 Game 3 against the Oakland Athletics. Joe Coleman, an excellent right-hander and a very distinguished big league career. That was one of his best years, too, I think, with the Tigers. Oakland eventually came back and won that series and went to the World Series and beat the Cincinnati Reds.
You got lucky in here?
The curve.
Man, I tell you. You're making good hitters look bad with that curveball. Bobby Abreu does not usually look bad against left-handed pitching.
Rodriguez on deck, 1 out, and everybody on their feet again. Strike 3 call. And Abreu had a word with Alfonso Marquez, and Jim Leyland's going to go get Kenny Rogers right now with A-Rod coming up. Finish it. For Kenny Rogers against a longtime nemesis. We'll be back. 7 2/3 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. He threw 113 pitches.
And you might ask, where is he going? Why is he going in? Well, a lot of times pitchers going to put some ice on their arms.
So here is the hard-throwing Zumaya. And by the way, that last strikeout of Abreu made it 8 strikeouts for Rogers total in his 7 2/3 innings. Zumaya, who was so impressive at Yankee Stadium yesterday. Look out. And Jim Leyland, that was a slider.
That was a breaking ball.
Jim Leyland said before the game today, said, you know, Zumaya was so smooth, did everything well yesterday, but he's 21 years old, and you don't know from day to day which Zumaya is going to show up.
Well, that's why he's not ready to be the closer.
We got him at 102 miles per hour. More demonstration of the postseason for A-Rod tonight. He's grounded to short, flying to center, and been hit by a pitch. He's 0 for 2. Right center field. Ordonez. The inning is over. 6-0 Detroit. Games to 1. Tommy, our good friend Tommy Lasorda, says watch the postseason on ESPN. And as Tommy likes to say, it's your duty, Judy. Kenny Rogers did his duty and way maybe above the call of duty. Kenny Rogers was never better. Here's Miguel Ordonez against the new Yankee pitcher, Ron Valone. And there is ball 1. Ordonez has grounded into a force play, grounded out to third, and grounded into a double play. They've scored 6 runs, but their top slugger, Ordonez, has been shut down. And he got shut down yesterday as well. And they won that ball game yesterday, 4-3. Ordonez is 1 for 10 in the series. But the Tigers are close to going ahead 2 games to 1. 24 homers, 104 batted in the season. Inside by Valone, 3-0. Carlos Guillen and Pudge Rodriguez to follow. But Joe, this Yankee ball club, I mean, this is just a stunning turn of events.
Definitely. Because you figure you play 3 or 4 games, one of those times you're just going to get hot and overpower the other team. And that still may happen. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. Even if the Tigers are going to win this ball game, the series is not over. I mean, we've seen the Yankees or all these teams in the playoffs win 2 straight games before. So make sure that people don't start celebrating too quickly.
Carlos Guillen comes up as Ordonez gets his first hit since game 1 on Tuesday in New York. Guillen, 2 more hits in this game and 2 runs scored. He's had 2 singles in 3 at-bats. 5 for 9 in the series. Switch hitter batting right-handed. High and tight with a slider. 1 ball and no strikes. This Yankee team had so much adversity this year. I mean, they lose 2 of their great run producers, as you see Todd Jones, the closer, up in the bullpen for Detroit. And they lost 2 of their 100 RBI men, Gary Sheffield and Hideki Matsui. And they had more problems with the starting rotation. The bullpen was reworked at times. Mariano Rivera went down for 3 weeks in September. And yet they found a way to get it done. And in fact, while Matsui and Sheffield were still out, they got red hot in August and just laid waste to the Boston Red Sox. Bobby Abreu was a big difference in the ball club. It's ironic. They traded for Abreu at the end of July. If Matsui and Sheffield had not been hurt, they probably don't make that deal.
No, I don't think so. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense to make it.
1 ball, 1 strike to Guillen. And 1-2. Sports Center comes up right after the ball game. We're at Comerica Park in Detroit. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Aaron Andrews is here. And the Detroit Tigers, who were pronounced by many around the country as being all but dead after their game 1 loss, as Guillen goes down on strikes. The Tigers rose up, came from behind 1 yesterday, and they have a 6-0 lead tonight. Jim Leyland's Tigers. Performance by Kenny Rogers. I mean, they've scored some runs, they've bunched some hits together, they've done a lot of things well, but it all started with Kenny Rogers tonight.
Definitely. Kenny Rogers is the star of this ball game.
You see the history of success by teams who in the best-of-5 series win that third game in a series that had been 1-1 up until then. But Rodriguez, ball one.
If you're the Yankees, John, you say, well, 8 teams have done it. We can be the 9th. So it's not like 110-2 or something. I mean, it's still early as far as numbers.
Rodriguez hitless in the series until tonight. He's had a single and a double. Scored 2, driven home 1 in this one. And it is 2-0. And sometimes when a pitcher throws a great game, the catcher gets overlooked in that equation.
You're right. I was thinking that all along when I was watching the way Rodriguez and he were working. And finally, when Rodriguez had to go to the mound, they were working so well together. He only went to the mound like once in this whole ball game.
2-0. And ball 3. 3-0 the count. So Pudge Rodriguez and Kenny Rogers. It was a beautiful partnership here tonight.
Definitely, and I think sometimes Pudge doesn't get the credit that he deserves for his game calling because he's such a good hitter. People forget the other parts of his game. I mean, he's a great defensive catcher. They all know that you can't steal on him, but they forget that he also has to call the pitches for this young pitching staff.
Malone walks Pudge. Ordonez over the second. And now Sean Casey comes up. Joe Torre in the left with Ron Guidry on the right, the pitching coach.
And actually another overlooked person tonight is Sean Casey. I mean, he battled the big unit. Left-handers usually do not have any luck, as you see Kenny Rogers returning. And I'm sure that's because he went up to get some ice on his shoulder, and now he'll be down to watch the rest of the ball game. But he battled Randy Johnson and came out on top twice, drove in a couple of runs.
Sean Casey against the pitcher that left-handed hitters, if they're not asking out of the lineup, all of a sudden their back is killing them. Or
well, if they're not asking out, the manager's asking them out.
Yeah.
if you don't ask me to take you out, I'm going to take you out anyway.
Well, all Leland did was take Granderson and Casey out of their normal spots in the order and drop them down to the last third of the order. Casey, instead of hitting third, hit 7th tonight. Granderson, instead of leading off, hit 9th. And both of them have produced. And that's a ball too low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kenny Rogers talking with some of his young teammates. That's Verlander facing the camera. Joel Zumaya came on to get the final out of the 8th inning. Giambi, Posada, and Matsui due up in the 9th for New York. Todd Jones no longer warming up out of the Tiger bullpen. 2 men on, 1 man out. And Malone really struggling with his control. 2-1 the count. Malone had a very fine year, although he finished up in a slump there in the last part of September. But most of the summer he was the guy that Torrey went to at almost any time of the game. He could go in, he'd go to in the 3rd inning of the game, or 6th, 7th, 8th inning. That is Giambi, and the runners advance. Ordonez to 3rd, and Rodriguez to 2nd. 2 down. Sports Center right after the game. The entire day in the world of sports on Sports Center. And if you missed what Kenny Rogers did tonight, they'll recap it for you and bring you back to the great night by Kenny Rogers. 7 2/3 innings, no runs, 5 hits. Oakland won over the Twins today to clinch that series. The Athletics will be facing the winner of this series in the American League Championship Series this year. Brandon Inge 0 for 3. And that's too low. And tomorrow, Joe and I will go to St. Louis at 1 o'clock Eastern at the new Busch Stadium. And the Cardinals with a chance to wrap it up against the Padres. The Padres will be playing to stay alive in that National League Division Series. was funny because some unexpected things have been happening. I mean, this is one of them. Kenny Rogers shutting down the Yankees. Who saw that coming? Outside of Kenny Rogers, maybe. But Minnesota was so hot, and not just for a while. They were hot for 4 months. And to get swept by Oakland, I mean, Oakland certainly could beat them. They were pretty hot themselves. But to sweep them in 3, I didn't see that one coming.
No, I don't think anyone did, especially when Santana was starting the first game. But the A's matched him with Zito, and the rest, you know, they just outplayed him the rest of the time.
And how about the Cardinals, who struggled so terribly down the stretch? And then they win the first 2 over the Padres, who were extremely hot down the stretch.
Yeah, but they have the world's best hitter.
You're going to be like the Sports Illustrated cover, Joe. You name somebody the best, the greatest. Look what happened to the Yankee lineup. Last chance for the Yankees. 9th inning. They're down 6-0.
The division series continues in St. Louis. The Cardinals are cruising, and Pujols is playing big. Now the Padres must dig deep to get back in the series. Padres-Cardinals, Game 3, tomorrow at 1 on ESPN2.
In Detroit, where they've been waiting 19 years for the Tigers to get back into the postseason. Tonight, the American League Division Series moving to Detroit from New York. And the Tigers, in this pivotal game, have a 6-0 lead into the 9th inning. And Todd Jones, the closer, has come on to try and wrap it up for Kenny Rogers. John, I delay here. A beach ball had gotten loose on the field out in deep right center. Go ahead,
John.
Joe.
I had a talk with my friend and one of the great umpires in the league, Ed Montague. And remember the play we talked about down the line, and Tim McClellan was avoiding getting hit. He said actually the play is Vanover's call until it passes Tim McClellan. So we want to just clear that up. And Ed
Vanover had the call all
the way, and it's McClellan only calls the ball after it passes him.
Quickly behind in the count against the strike-throwing machine, Todd Jones. A guy who rarely strikes out anybody, but also almost never walks anybody. Todd Jones had 9 more saves than he had strikeouts this year. Jorge Posada is on deck. Matsui due up 3rd in the inning. Todd Jones had 37 saves. Ordonez into right center. That's the big part of the yard. 1 away. Now the Chevrolet player of the game. And Joe, I think there's no mistaking it's Kenny Rogers.
That would be my vote.
7 2/3 shutout innings, and in recognition of his outstanding night, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the name of Kenny Rogers. Now Posada has had a single. He's flied out deep to left center and doubled. One ball, no strikes. The Yankees, in those 7 2/3 innings against Rogers, they put 8 men on base. They had 5 hits, 2 walks, and a hit batsman against them, but they never put more than 1 man on base.
And only once did they advance any of those runners.
2 down.
Now let's take a look at Kenny Rogers' night. He had 8 strikeouts, and he did it in a variety of ways. Started with Matsui, a call strike. There's Giambi, another call strike right on the edge. The umpire's doing a great job. Bernie chases one. Cano chases the curveball. And Bobby Abreu. Bernie again. I mean, this is just great pitching. There's Johnny Damon. Abreu. I mean, he was just magnificent.
1-1 to Matsui. The Yankees, it is becoming more and more evident, will be in desperate straits here tomorrow.
But guess what? I mean, some of the Yankees have been there before. I know Joe Torre's been there before. He's the leader of this team. He will get them ready to play. And as I said again, do not celebrate too quickly if you're Detroit. And you look at these numbers, 0 for 18 with runners on base. I mean, they're not getting the job done, but they're such a good team that they can turn around.
23-year-old Jeremy Bonderman will pitch for the Tigers against Jared Wright tomorrow. That was a close one. 1-2. There's Jared Wright. We've been through this before. Jeremy Bonderman, 23 years old, but a 4-year veteran. But he'll be pitching in the postseason for the first time tomorrow. The Tigers have a 2-1 lead over the Yankees. And the 9th inning was the only inning that the Yankees did not get a man on base.
And John, I think we should give Alfonso Marquez a pat on the back because K-Zone made him look good tonight, or he made K-Zone look good. Either way you want to look at it, he had a magnificent ball game behind the plate. He was right on the corners with Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers has beaten the Yankees, the team that he couldn't beat. And the Tigers have a 2-1 lead, 1 win away from eliminating New York. SportsCenter is next. Now, for Joe Morgan and Aaron Andrews, I'm John Miller, with special thanks to the great Ernie Harwell for visiting. And now from Detroit, we say good night. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Tigers over the Yankees.